right, chat. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are. Welcome to Afriq 24-hour TV. Of course, this is our political talk show, a show that comes on your screen every day and gives you an opportunity to interact with what is happening in the political sphere. That is Kenyan politics. You get it from wherever you are. Of course, today is 21st May 2024. I take this opportunity to welcome all of you to this talk show. Feel free and be part of this discussion. And of course, if you're joining me for the first time, as usual, ensure that you subscribe to Afriq 24-hour. Go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, and you can also go ahead and become a member of Afriq 24-hour TV. I know a lot has happened as the week begins, and the long-awaited presidential tour is with us here. Most of us has waited for our president to have or to go and visit United States of America. This is something that has really been publicized. This is a state visit. So President William Ruto began his 4-day visit today. That is when he landed or he arrived at Hattiesfield Jackson International Airport in Atlanta. And here he managed to meet Kenyans who are living in Atlanta or Kenyans who are living in America. And he was also welcomed by our Foreign Affairs Permanent Secretary, that is Korir Sing'oei, and the U.S. Ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, who went there to welcome him to America. And also he managed to meet the mayor of the city of Atlanta, that is Andrew Dickens. So you people will have to remember that this is the first visit by an African leader, that is in 15 years time. For the last 15 years, no African leader have had a state visit. I'll give you the difference between, I know you will say there are so many African leaders who visited America, but they've never gone there on a state visit. And this one is we are expecting the president to strengthen the ties that we have within the United States of America and also to open doors for investment and maybe things like employment opportunities. So welcome to this show. I know we are going to enlighten you, we are going to enlighten each other on what this state visit was or is about, and we are also going to get your expectations, what you expect to happen at the end of this meeting, and maybe some of the things that you would really want to be addressed in this kind of state meeting. Just as I said earlier, the difference is that a state visit is normally that formal visit by head of state of one country to the head of state of another country. And this one is the highest level of international visit that an individual can have. And the purpose is just simple, to confirm the relationship between the two countries. So in Kenya, President William Ruto is the third president or the third person to go on a state visit. Remember, the first state visit that we had to United States of America was by President Daniel Arap Moi, who had a state visit in February 19th February. Sorry, was it February 19th to February 22 in 1980? Daniel Arap Moi had a state visit. Apart from that, we also had the former President Moi Kibaki having a state visit between October 5th to October 7th, 2003. That was a year after he was elected. You know, Kibaki was elected in 2002. Then the next year, he had a state visit in the United States of America. So the third one is now the one that we are seeing that is that is being done by President William Ruto. So the other presidents, Jomo Kenyatta and Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, did not have a state visit to America. But it will be remembered that there are several times when these presidents visited America, like Daniel Moi had some private visit when he was going to the UN General Assembly in 1981. Moi also had an official working visit and also visited New York City in 1987. I know you people know that in history. And he also had a working visit in 2002. That was some few months before he retired. President Kibaki, I told you, only visited there once on a state visit in October 2003. Uhuru Kenyatta, of course, attended the U.S. African Leadership Summit. That was in August 5th to August 6th, 2014. He was attending the US Africa Leadership Summit, and he again went there from August 25 to August 27 in 2018. He went on what was called a working visit. So, karibuni sana. I know we are going to look at what has happened, and Kenyans are having some reactions over there. People have discussed a lot of things, including the transport cost and such kind of things. So, I want to welcome you to this show. You can always participate using the comment section there. You can always share your views on the comment section. I'll be able to read them. And if you also want to join us in studio, use the link that I've shared on the comment section there so that you can find yourself in studio and be part of this discussion. So, of course, I'm joined by somebody called Kale Kale. So, Kale Kale, I'll give you an opportunity to say hi to our viewers and proceed to tell us maybe what are your expectations in this state visit that the president is having in United States of America. Is it necessary, or are you satisfied with how it is being done, or maybe so far, what is your feeling towards that visit? So karibu sana Kale.
Thank you for the warm welcome. I'm delighted to be in the studio tonight. Considering it's you're saying for over 15 years, no African president has come for a state visit to America.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a great honor for.
And maybe if you can just get close to your microphone, I can get you, but I can hardly get you. So if maybe you can just get close to the microphone, I think it will be better.
Yes. Yes, I'm saying it is an honor for the president to be invited on a state visit, considering the other presidents have not been there on state visits, but just on maybe friendly visits. So there's a lot of expectations. There is a talk show which he was addressing about democracy. Therefore, we're expecting, of course, as he has addressed the audience on democracy, he was expecting him to also to practice it back here home on the democracy. And it is refreshing. The people there, they're asking him really tough questions, which people here might not be asking him directly. Like I heard that the first person who talked about the fertilizer thing is going on here. Of course, so the minister was put to task, and apparently is going to be off the hook somehow. But the president has said the board has been sacked, so maybe there is some action on it. Therefore, we're expecting a lot from the visit, and we hope that he'll also, of course, come back with more goodies for the country.
Get you. So you say there are so many expectations. Of course, Kenyans are having so many expectations. People are expecting that through this visit, it's going to open maybe some investment opportunities. It's also going to ensure that our relationship between Kenya and the United States of America is cemented. Remember, the last 10 years when we are having the former president Uhuru Kenyatta, there are some people who felt that Uhuru Kenyatta tried to balance between the West and East. Majorly when you face and go and get maybe some grants and such kind of assistance from China, you will always be in conflict with Americans. But they said that the former regime at least did trade more with the eastern side of the world than the western side. So do you think that this is going to be an opportunity that is now going to make the president confirm to United States of America that we are now fully back to the West, and we really need your support, and we really commit that we are going to engage and do our dealings with you, unlike maybe the previous regime, we were seen to be slippery.
You're right. The previous regime, of course, we saw a lot of Chinese projects coming to Kenya as opposed to American projects. Therefore, this is just sort of an affirmation from our president that is more facing westward than the eastern side. And that is why we are waiting to see what difference it's going to make. So far, however, it seems that the difference, okay, is there, but with a lot of pain. So we hope that going forward is going to be less painful. The policies which our president is practicing now
Okay.
is bringing some pain to our pockets and to our economy. Unlike the Chinese, when they were here, we were not so much affected. So we are hoping that things are going to turn for the better.
You're hoping that things are going to turn for the better. You saw when the president immediately arrived at Atlanta, of course, that is where he had his first meeting. After meeting the mayor, I find that after he met, after just being welcomed, and he met the mayor of the city of Atlanta, that is Andre Dickens, he went straight to meet the Kenyans living in Atlanta. And in that kind of session, it was, if you followed it up, it was more interactive. And most Kenyans who were given opportunity to speak, they were like, most of them were complaining of some of the policies. You even had somebody there complaining that he's a Kenyan American farmer, somebody who does some farming in some part of Narok, and he was complaining of buying the substandard or the fake fertilizers. And the president had task to try and explain some of his policies. He tried to explain how the refund is going to be done. He went ahead to explain to them some of the policies in the taxation, and at some point tried to compare what is happening at US and what is happening in Kenya, telling them that, look, here in the US, you people are paying taxes, and that is what we are also trying to implement in Kenya. Do you think that this one is trying to show that maybe the president has got a feeling that some of his policies are unpopular, and he's trying to make them understood?
We have no problem with paying taxes. The problem is
Yes,
we are not seeing what the taxes are doing on the ground. If it
exactly.
was commensurate, I mean, paying the taxes is not a problem. That was okay. But let us also see things happening. Let's see, maybe on the health side, we are not supposed to be paying for our health. It's supposed to be a free. Education supposed to be free. So if those taxes are working, well and good. They can be, it's okay. They can be, you can go ahead with the taxation. But also, let's see also the services coming back for the community to enjoy also.
I get you. I get you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Of course, I know we are going to continue with this kind of discussion. Different people have got different views on the presidential state visit. The people who believe in its positive side, that this is going to open opportunities for Kenya. It's going to maybe ensure that it cements the ties that we have between the American and the United States of America. It's going to ensure that we have some investment opportunities. Of course, you did see the president tagged along the members of parliament. He tagged along members of the county governments, and he also tagged along some investors from the country. We did see Anne Waiguru there, who is the chair of the Council of the Governors, representing the governors and the county government. We saw the majority leader of the National Assembly, Kimani Chungwa. We also saw the majority leader of the Senate over there, Aaron, and many other investors along with him. So we hope that these people are going to meaningfully engage and make use of these state visit, irrespective of maybe some of the things that Kenyans feel were not done right. Of course, we look at them as we proceed with this kind of discussion. I've also had people discussing the kind of the flight that the president used and so on and so forth. So let me welcome Mr. Kimanzi. I can see you've also joined us in this conversation. So I hope it's a very good evening over there in Nairobi. So kindly, if you can just say hello and tell us how you feel about the president's state visit? So today is he began his 4-day visit. He started, of course, by visiting Kenyans in Atlanta. You saw it was an interactive meeting whereby Kenyans over there were able to engage him and get to know what is happening back in the country, and also seek for clarification on some of the things that they are not comfortable with. So, how do you feel, or what do you have to say about this visit, just in a nutshell, before we proceed?
Thank you so much, Leo. Uh, President, your tour in USA is one of the best things that the president has done as a leader of the country, and this one is going to open opportunities for countries like Kenya, because there is going to interact with a lot of people. People are going to come there, and I have this confidence with William Samuel Ruto because he is the master of PR. So I am very sure that he has convinced a lot of people in the USA. And of course, Kenyans were happy to see their president, and I saw him interacting with them cordially. So it's like people were happy of what happened. And the major thing that happened is that the people are going to celebrate with him. And again, a lot of opportunities are going to come into the country, because we know that America is one of the countries that is very developed. Of course, that is not a country, that is a state. And you know how America is a very developed country, developed state. So I think this one is going to open opportunities to the country. But again, of course, Kenyans always criticize any opportunity that comes. So they are still loitering in the social media, trying to say that William Ruto is just wasting money going to the USA. But I think this is a big opportunity to the country, because USA has been so loyal to Kenya. They have been supporting us for a long time. So I think President going there, we will get a lot of opportunities from USA, and they will support us because we know that we are that old country. So you're going to get a lot of support from USA, because William Samuel Ruto going there for a 4-day visit, that is a big opportunity for our country. So personally, I will tend to say that this is an advantage to the Kenyans, but Kenyans should always stop complaining. I've seen how they are complaining in social media, and that is so bad. They always talk negative of everything. They are not even able to say anything good for person, any leader, anything that happens in the country. They will always criticize. I don't know why. What is wrong with Kenyans? Because they are talking and they are trying to uh,
But Bonnie,
take this.
are Kenyans not allowed to give some positive criticism? I think you get it when I say positive. You criticize in a positive way.
Have you seen them doing that?
I don't know. You can tell me if the kind of
No, no.
criticism
Kenyans.
that
Whatever I've seen is that Kenyans are
I
criticizing in the wrong way. Of course, I
get
saw how they felt when President William Ruto chose some of the people to accompany him. I have seen what happened today in the Senate. There was a leader there who asked Senator Gerard Gay, what is he doing here in the country, yet the other leaders are in the USA. You know, it's like even the leaders, the opposition, don't realize that this thing is going to come to the country, and we are going to get our opportunities. So everyone, even the leaders, don't understand, don't even try to reflect this thing as an advantage to our country. They are taking it in a negative way. So I tend to believe that we are Kenyans and we are used to that, but this is a big opportunity to our country, Kenya.
I get you. I get you. Okay, maybe Bonfaz, before maybe we proceed. Uh, you did see the president having some meeting with the Kenyans living in Atlanta, and I think Kenyans were able to engage him. And there was this Kenyan who asked a question, I think, concerning the fertilizer that was supplied. I just want to play for you that then maybe I'm going to ask you. There's a question that somebody has asked me on that, so I'll play it. Then after that, I'll give you that question so that you see if you can be able to give me a response on that. Let me just get it, if you don't mind.
There's a lady there. Yes. Stand up, lady there. You can stand up, madam. Yeah. Haya. Uliza maswali, boss.
Mr. President, I'm honored to be in your presence. I am. My name is Tom Mongosi. I am from New York, but I am a very how can I say? I'm a diaspora farmer. In that, I mean, I do a lot of acreages in Narok for wheat. But I know, I'm not too sure, but I know it came to your attention that this planting season, I lost over 250,000 on fake fertilizer, which was sold to us by the National Cereal Produce Board. So from your office and from the ministry that is standing in for agriculture, as farmers, we are suffering on this end of getting things that really, I'm not sure if the government knows or the government has party to it, or what it is that you need to tell us as farmers, because I'm trying to fight for my refund of all the almost 100 bags I got for fake fertilizer.
I will answer you right away. Number one, we asked every farmer who bought fertilizer that was finally identified not to be good to register, and 7,000 farmers registered. And already we have started compensation of every farmer. You will get equivalent fertilizer without having to pay. Every farmer. That is number one. That is number one. And number two, we have taken the managing director of Cereals Board and all his team. They are now waiting for prosecution. We have already sent them out of office, and we are going to deal with them firmly and conclusively. Are we together? So we will not only refund you, we will not only give you, replace your fertilizer, but we are also going to deal with the crooks. Yes, let me, the lady.
I think you've heard that, Bonfaz. Do you think that answer was sufficiently accurate?
Yeah, of course, if you ask a doctor that question, then you are sure that he's going to attack you head to head. So I think that man went home satisfied.
No,
No,
you were in
Ruto is
Kenya.
not.
The man is in America.
You cannot. You cannot
assume that was your uncle. Then he calls you back and asks you, Bonnie, have the members of the National Cereals and Produce Board been sent home awaiting prosecution? Which answer will you give?
Of course, I don't have connection to the government. I don't know whether they are sent home or not.
All right. Okay. The other question that somebody was asking, I know a lot has been, and also there are people who are also asking, is it the government spokesman? Some questions, and he responded.
Inatumika sana kule Marekani. Kwa hivyo ni nyinyi wanakulima ameenda kuwatafutia soko. Kwa hivyo wewe unauliza maswali hayo, hiyo maswali ni ya kiupusi kabisa. Shindwe wewe ibilisi pepo baya. Rais ameenda kama mzee wa hii kijiji ya Kenya kutafuta, alafu unauliza fare ni pesa ngapi? Na akirudi atarudi na zaidi ya hiyo fare mara milioni. Hiyo si ni wale ambao hawapendi Kenya. Yeye ndiye rais wa kwanza ambaye ameitwa kutoka Afrika kuenda kama state visit ya rais wa Marekani Joe Biden. Na hii Kenya ni nchi ya maajabu, kwa sababu ilitoa baba mbegu yetu nzuri kama ya wakulima, ambaye aliweza kupata rais wa kwanza mweusi wa kule Marekani, Barack Obama. Ni mrais Jugunda wewe. Lakini usiue hiyo story wewe.
All right. I think Bonnie, I'm not engaged in that. Of course, I've also seen one of our owners joined us. He's called Jepudo. That is one and only the Kenya revolutionary. I knew he will have something to say about this state visit. Of course, we are going to look at it. We are going to try and weigh and look at what are some of the expectations. Of course, we did get expectations from Kale, who told us Kenyans and Africans at large, we are really expecting a lot. Remember, this is a visit that is coming after a 15 years drought. So, you know, 15, when I talk of 15 years drought, I remember for the last 15 years, we've never had an African leader or an African president or African heads of state going to visit America on a state visit. Most of the ones who've gone, like President Uhuru Kenyatta, have gone there on a business visit or maybe on a private visit. But the one that they're going on a state visit, whereby you are going as a head of state to visit a head of state, doesn't happen for the last 15 years. So it means as Kenyans and as Africans, we are having a lot of expectations, because for a period of 15 years, it is more when we've not had a black or African leaders engaging the United States of America. That's a powerhouse economically and maybe in other aspects. So we do believe that the president is going to have some discussions that are going to ensure that when it comes to investment opportunities, they are open. He's also going to assure the United States of America that, of course, we are back to the business and we are ready to do business with you. You should not be worried, because I've told you the last 10 years as Kenyans, that's a moment that we were facing East. Majorly, the president will borrow from China. We were doing some businesses with countries like
Leo, can you hear me?
Until I felt that we are running away from them. So let me give it to Japolo so that he can say hi. And Japolo, congratulations. I can see your studio is pretty fine. That is
Leo, can you hear me?
This gentleman will also have to follow your page. Don't forget, you come with different names until following you is always hard. So when you tell them to follow Kenya Revolutionary, the next day you come as Jalejo or such kind of thing. So today, don't forget to tell them the real name of your page so that they can also be able to follow and partake on what you are giving out there. So you can just say hi. I know you're in the United States of America. I don't know if you went to see the president in Atlanta. Give us the expectations and maybe what you can be able to dissect so far.
Can you hear me, Leo?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Today, I told you having the right gadget. The problem has always been your gadget.
Because you don't watch my channel. I usually have the right gadget. It's Kenya Revolutionary.
But you don't use it when you come here.
I just want to correct my friend, the one with the C that doesn't have the camera on.
He's Caleb. I think so, Caleb. Yeah.
Yeah. Uhuru Kenyatta was borrowing from China, and he wasn't spending it on Kenyans. It was going straight to his bank account. So let's get that clear. It wasn't borrowing to help the Kenyan people. Just go listen to Jimmy Wanjigi. They did the audit. The SGR money, the loan that was taken by SGR money, was never even touched CBK accounts, consolidated whatever funds. Hiyo pesa ilitoka huko China ikaenda huko kwa banki nyingine. Even the ones they were borrowing from, it was coming from Chase Bank, going to private Ninio. So, you know what annoys me is, okay, Ruto is a gone case, is a basket case. Ruto is a puppet. We know that. But what annoys me is when people come here and try to paint a picture as if Uhuru Kenyatta was any better. Uhuru was even worse. Okay? Actually, there's no difference between them. This is a continuation. They're all puppets of the West. The money that was borrowed to Chinese went to individual private bank accounts. But we Kenyans, through our tax money, we paid for it. We are paying for it. Same thing with this lunatic that just came to Atlanta. I tried to get a ticket to go there, but they did not approve my ticket because it was free.
I expected to see you there and
Yeah.
maybe prompt him with these kind of questions, but
Yes, they
also
believe me or
disappointed
not.
that you didn't go there.
Believe me or not, they probably know about me. That's why they will never let me in there, because I applied. You had to get a ticket. You know, there was a Neo website where you register, and then wanakurudishia Neo, and then you have to ask the questions in advance. So they kind of screen the questions that you're going to ask. So anyway, this lunatic came to Atlanta, and tomorrow is going to Washington, D.C. I have no hope for him. Kenyans were doomed. You had Mwaura, huyo anaitwaje, Mzeruzeru, speaking there as a
That is the government spokesman.
Yeah. And Pauline Joroge has joined the gang. These people need to be committee. All of them. All of them need to be committee. Raila Odinga also. Let's not leave Raila Odinga. He has been quiet. He's eating mandazi in his house while his stomach is getting fat. We are being led by a bunch of corrupt, irredeemably corrupt politicians, whether it's opposition or not. Now they're playing this game, mambo ya financial bill 2024. And I don't want to divert from what the topic is. But you can see the same mchezo wa paka na panya. They are pretending, oh, let's look at what is the finance bill. But at the end of the day, it will pass. And the Azimio will pretend that they are so upset by it passing. And they'll go to Mandamano so that they can bring the NADCO. All of them are in one. There's one government. All of them are working for the US government. All of them. Azimio, Kenya Kwanza, all of them. Okay? Don't be fooled. That's why you see Raila Odinga is quiet, because he has been promised heaven. Okay? Anyway, back to Ruto's coming to America. Ruto is coming here just to look after his investments. We already saw US say they did not finance his trip to America. Okay, so where is that money coming from? It is from the taxpayers' money. But you'll hear this.
The taxpayers who are going to pay. Actually,
they've already paid. It's not that they are going to pay. They already paid. Hiyo pesa ilitolewa kwa treasury. Alafu treasury itakuja hapa ituambia ati budget ndio hii ya 3.9 million. And you'll have people who are telling us like that Molo MP at his VAT on bread is because of diabetes. Useless people. I'm telling you, Kenya needs a revolution. We need you saw what happened in Burkina Faso. The head of Burkina Faso, they tried to kill him this weekend. He still maintains his salary. And alikata mshahara ya every ministers and MPs. And he rejected IMF. He rejected the pesa yote inatoka kwa US. Lakini we have this clown who is going to twerk for the US. Whitman anamdanga. Whitman is a billionaire, dollar billionaire. Lakini tunacheza hapa alafu tunakuja hapa tunazungumza mambo ya usijui Ruto do this, please don't talk to me about Uhuru Kenyatta. The Kenyatta family has billion-dollar billionaires. They can buy Ruto 2 times over. They are the behind. You know who financed the hii ujinga ya Limuru 3? It was Uhuru Kenyatta. Ni mchezo tunachezwa.
Do you have any proof for that?
I do have a proof. Take me to court. I can defend myself.
Right. I can see Makiadi is saying that today he concur with you. We need a reset button in our country. That is Richard Makiadi.
Makiadi is my good friend. Ni tu alidanganywa na watu wa ODM. Aingie hapa. That's my brother. And I saw siku salimia ndugu yangu Kimani hapo. Kimani sijui ni mtu wa Arsenal ako na sura kama ya watu wa Arsenal. Pochettino amefukuzwa. Anyway, let me stop there. Let me let somebody else talk. Sorry. Endelea.
All right. Thank you, Kenya Rebel. Of course, I indeed want us to have this kind of conversation. There is something that you said there. I think Kenyans have talked about it. Kenyans were trying to look at the cost of this trip. Initially, Kenyans were duped that the trip is funded or financed by the government of the United States of America, something that they denied through their embassy, that US is not funding the trip. meaning the trip is being funded by the government of Kenya. And when I talk of the government of Kenya, I mean the taxpayers. So I just want to take you to have a look at the jet that the president had to hire from Abu Dhabi in Dubai. And it is a 34-seater. Of course, you saw the entry, the people who went with the president. We are having the governor, Anoi Giru. We are having the majority leader of the National Assembly. We are having the majority leader of the Senate, among other people that, of course, you are aware of. This is what they use. That was the president leaving. And if you look at the jet that the president used, Kenyans, of course, have registered their disappointment, because they say that the jet that the president used, the government or maybe the taxpayers are going to pay 200 million for his return trip. And if had he used maybe this other commercial or this other business flights, Kenyans would have paid 160 million less, meaning we would have paid something like 40 million, but now we're going to pay 200, and this one is going to be taxpayers' money. So, Caleb, do you think this is justice for Kenyans? Do we have to pay that amount for such a trip? A country that is currently saying that they're having empty coffers, they're really straining, and the weight bill is high, and they recommend that we need to live within our belts, we need to live within our means. So is it the true reflection of the policy that the government is telling us, that we need to live within our means? Mr. Caleb? What is your opinion?
Definitely, it is not. It is quite ironical that you are a beggar. You use 200 million to go and beg for funds. I mean, if I'm lending you money and you come with a Mercedes, do you actually need that money? So
actually, Caleb,
the actions on the ground are, the actions on the ground are different from the words rhetoric.
You are a beggar. You use millions of money to go and beg. It doesn't make sense. Boniface, I don't know what is your take on that, because you've had the response when Kenyans complained, the response that was given by the government spokesperson, that is the former nominated senator, nominated MP, Honorable Isaac Maora, saying that hiyo ni swali ya upuzi. Rais ameenda kuwatafutia investors na nyinyi mnauliza fare yake ni pesa ngapi? Boniface.
Thank you so much, Leo. What I can say about President William Ruto going to USA. Personally, I have not been to USA. I don't know how USA looks like, but my speculation, I can say that I know Kenya Rebel is one of my friends, and he supports
Don't
Chelsea.
Come. There's nothing here. Nyonga watu tuko Kenya utakuwa vizuri.
No, bro, why are you saying this? And you know that my dream is to come to New York City. Don't say that. Anyway, I know that William Ruto is using a lot of money. But again, where do you want William Ruto to get this money from? Yet, he's the president of the Republic of Kenya. One thing I will always say is that when I watch those clips and also the videos and also the live coverage from the ministry media houses, I've been seeing the media houses covering that trip since yesterday, and I have concluded that power is very sweet. Of course, that is one thing that I realized, that power is very good. If you are in power, then you can take over anything. So I saw what happened there, and the relationship between William Samuel Ruto and even the Kenyans in the abroad, the likes of Kenya Rebel. I think even if you missed that trip, I know that William Ruto showed that support to the Kenyans in abroad, and that interaction is rarely. Some of the president don't just get interacting with the people; they just talk well in the social media and also when they are far away. But again, William Ruto went there, and I think it is going to open opportunities for the Kenyans. So I think this is a big opportunity. But I want to ask Kenyans one day to just allow William Ruto to do his work. That is all what I can say, because William Ruto, maybe he has his own strategy to change this country, and maybe in the next 50 years, because they said that they are going to rule for the 50 years. When we are ready for it, if they are ruling for the 50 years, we see change, then we will adopt to that change. But again, what can we say? Because we are Kenyans, we are in the grassroots, we accept, because you cannot cancel that trip. That is something that was planned. So Ruto na bibi yake wakule maisha huko Marekani. Kenya Rebel, unajua maisha huko ni tamu.
Thank you, Boniface. I know I'll give you
Leo,
to Kenya Rebel.
Boniface,
give you
before you give him, Boniface has not answered that question.
He
didn't answer the question. Is it justified for him to use a private jet to go to America?
So Kenya Rebel, Geoffrey Ruto is saying this: the presidential jet is having problems because it has been in service for over 30 years. When the government wanted to buy a new one, Kenyans made noise, a lot of noise. When he hires a private jet, the noise goes up. What is wrong with Kenyans? Kenya Rebel, what is wrong with you? Ruto is asking you. The jet has been there for 30 years. He wanted to buy a new one, you made noise. He's now hiring, the noise is up. So Geoffrey is wondering, what is wrong with you?
Kale was responding to Kimanzi.
Yes.
Can we let him finish? Ulimruka.
Let me allow you. And you move close to your mic. I think it's a bit
I
low.
was asking Boniface, is it justified for our president to use a private jet? We have Kenya Airways here. And I think even the last time Uhuru came to America, he used the Kenya Airways, direct flight. So
but I think I said that the power is sweet. So Ruto is the president of the Republic of Kenya. He can use any means of transport. Did you hear that?
Can Ningie?
Yes. It's you, Ingia.
I know Kimanzi is trying to be provocative, which is fine. I know what you're doing. This hour. Okay. Ideally, whatever the trips that the president makes, we the taxpayer will pay anyway. Okay, that's just a fact. The only thing that we are saying is this: if we are struggling to raise these 3.9 trillion Kenyan shilling budgets, okay, where we are complaining about this, and the government is telling us that they are trying to, have austerity measures. Why take a private jet? I mean, there's different ways where you can actually, like I say, Nani Kalikalia has made a good point. Kenya Airways, the last time I checked, it's not fully private. I think still there's a portion of it that still belongs to the government. How about you hire that? One of the new, like you say, though Uhuru Kenyatta used to take private jets to go gamble in Dubai. So I hate using him as an example, but I mean that's the one thing you can do. You know, take one of the KQ, represent the country. Just look at what's her name? The president of Tanzania does. She flies using the Ugandan Airlines. So there's ways you can do this without, spending a lot of money. But at the end of the day, if you're going to preach to us about austerity measures, you shouldn't be using extravagant means of transportation by, hiring a private jet to go to the US and all this stuff. Okay, I understand it was an official visit. Blah 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 blah. To Kimanzi, Maisha Americani is not fun as you might think. It's not actually. Actually, there are some people who live in Kenya who live way better with more freedoms than people who are in America. It depends on what you're doing, what brings you here, what you're doing here. I understand you want to visit these places that you hear, New York, LA, whatever the case is. The thing is, as a Kenyan and someone who cares about Africa, I would want to see a day where Americans dream of visiting Nairobi, Kisumu, Eldoret, Kisii, the way we want to go visit New York, LA, all that stuff, But how do we get there? That's where we are. I want our young folks who are coming up, the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds, the ones that are in school, high school kids, dream of, going to Nairobi University, going to Nairobi to see these wonderful places that we have in Kenya. Let them grow up looking at our country as a place where they're proud to go visit and work and live, not thinking about, I dream of going to America and New York and Los Angeles and Atlanta and all these places, or Washington, D.C. to go live. That's the goal. But in order to do that, we have to be self-sufficient. We can't just depend on the people who are actually taking advantage of us, borrowing. US, I saw some from KT and whatever, that they were saying that the US is going to help us manage our debt. The United States is in deep debt, bigger debt than ours. So how are they going to help us if they can't even help themselves get out of debt? You see? So that's why I kept on referencing the Burkina Faso president, and he has survived assassination attempt this past weekend. This guy rejected World Bank, IMF loans, and he said that he will raise money, ushuru ambayo inatumiwa kwa njia nzuri. The problem in Kenya is not taxation. Ni ile taxation tunachukua. Where does this taxes go? Inaenda to individual pockets. So we don't see the development. Na hii pesa tuna borrow from IMF and World Bank. It does not bring development. Hiyo pesa inaenda kwa mfukoni ya watu kibinafsi. Alafu sisi ndio tunaambiwa ati tulipe. Na tunaambiwa ati ushuru utazidi, watapandisha ushuru kwa sababu hiyo deni bado iko. You see what I'm saying? So we are not developing industries. We are still going. Ruto anakuja hapa, anakuja kutembelezwa hapa, sijui Atlanta, sijui nini, ati sijui nini. No, let's build our own. Unajua, sometimes, and as I finish, I want to bring some Black was trying to get in. As I finish, Leo, sometimes living abroad makes you appreciate what we have and the potential that we have as Africans. Unaona, tukiwa self-sufficient, ambayo we don't depend on others, we can have this. We have the brains, we have the manpower. Nobody in this panel is stupid. Lakini unajua sisi bado mentality, bado tunaangalia Amerikani, tukiana Ruto anaenda kucheka na Shaquille O'Neal hapo hivyo, and we think this is, look at the governors that went. Waiguru is the most corrupt governor in the history of governorship. Anyway, somebody else take over. Let a Black up aongee. I saw him.
Black ameenda tena. I don't know where you've gone to. I know he'll be able to log in maybe. He's there. I don't think he's gone far. Najua na kusikiza, and maybe he will log in and be able to maybe make contribution. So Bonnie, at least you've been told there's this comment, I think from Geoffrey Ruto, who was saying that he was talking about the private jet and this kind of things. I think you've been responded to, because the last time we saw the former president, whom Japo doesn't agree with that much. When he was visiting United States of America, he boarded KQ. So when you talk of security, when the president is using boarding KQ, does not mean that the president is going to board alongside other passengers. He will charter it. He will take the entire plane to wherever he's going to. It is cheaper than what he went for. And even if he wanted to hire, then he would have hired something that is within our means. That is what Kenyans are saying, because of course 200 million is not pocket change that we can't just sit and say that okay, this thing is going to happen. So Kenya Revolutionary, of course, okay, the meeting that the president had with Kenyans in Atlanta, I think he was just trying to brief them on what is happening in the country and maybe to get a feeling from them. Of course, the official visit will begin, you said, when he's now going to start engaging. What are some of the investment opportunities, or what are some of the expectations that you think that is going, do you think Kenyans will have that, okay, after this 4-day visit, the president will come back with this and this and this? Maybe what do we have some bilateral trade agreements that you think that Kenya is going to sign with America, or are there some aid or some grants that we are going to get through this visit, or it is just going to be a dry visit like that? I've heard Makiadi saying that there is nothing new Ruto is going to bring to Kenyans. That guy is just another clown touring the US with his families. So do you think he's just going to tour and enjoy himself, or at the end of this meeting, there's going to be some remarkable things that Kenyans are going to see and say, okay, truly, the president went to America. In his American trip, we saw Americans deciding that they're going to increase this grant, Americans deciding that they're going to maybe give us this kind of scholarships and so on and so forth. Are you having expectations?
Leo, very briefly, because I see Black is in here. Very, very briefly. His trip to US was an official state visit. That's why you see, I don't know if you watch how alipokewa kwa shangwe na vigelegele. You know.
Of course.
It wasn't like the other times when he comes in and he sneaks around, he goes to Western Otoil and he stays there. This was an official visit. That's why the state trooper were there, and he was provided the what do you call it? The Secret Service were protecting him because it was an official visit. So whether he came from the get-go, where he arrived in Hatfield Airport in Atlanta, going to Washington and whatever places he's going to visit, it's an official visit. Okay.
Yeah.
As far as any trade agreements, don't hold your horses. So, I mean, don't hold your breath. There's nothing. I've been preaching this on my channel, Kenya Revolutionary. Please join me on my channel. The thing is, they're killing the middle class. I keep on stressing about this book. Can you guys, if you have time, come on, Kona Wezo. I know most of us maybe might not. It's called The Confessions of a Economic Hitman by John Perkins, a former CIA guy that worked for World Bank. He's an American. He gives speeches every day. You can even YouTube him and just listen to him. He has a book out. You can read his book. He explains the Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins. Okay, a guy who works for CIA. He negotiated loans for countries like Kenya, and he explains how they kill the middle class. They make countries like Kenya be dependent, whether it's on their healthcare, education, and every other aspect of the economy. And that's why we hear about people, useful idiots like that Molo MP talking about, we should raise taxes on, car, whatever the case is, so it can encourage people to take public transportation, so we can have foreign investors. When you hear foreign investors, those are the colonialists, because those are the foreign corporations that are coming to take over the majority, the most aspects of your economy. Here, Ruto, when he talks about the parastatals not being effective, not making profit, and what is the solution? Instead of restructuring these parastatals, he's talking about let's give it to the private sector to do that. Who do you think these private sectors are? These are the international corporations that are coming to take over these parastatals. So what I'm trying to say in brief, as I wind up and let Black and others talk, hi Gunia, is this. These high taxes that are being proposed gradually every year through this finance bill and all these economic policies by this administration and even the previous one, okay, whether it was Uhuru Kenyatta and this President Ruto, they are designed to stifle the middle class so that we Kenyans can be totally, absolutely dependent on foreign corporations. Everything that we do, everything, what we buy, what we produce, unaona we are depending on it. Ndio maana unasikia Ruto alikuwa anatuambia ati in 2025 we shall start we shall not bring maize from outside, import. Why are we importing maize? Kenya is a rich country. You can produce maize without kutoka mahali. So that's, in short, just as I finish, the whole point is to make these countries be totally dependent economically to this international cooperation. That's why there's another book called Corporatocracy, and it's even in the book that I just told you. If you go look at it, read it, you'll see what I'm talking about. But I will stop there because that's not what I came to talk about. I was just giving it an answer. Ruto is basically a total puppet, an absolute, and it's not only to Ruto, it's also the opposition. They're total puppets of the West, and we have to have a revolution, something akin to what happened in Burkina Faso. Thank you. I'll let everybody speak. If Black doesn't have anything to tell you, usually
let me welcome Black, and of
Black
course,
usually tells me that I run, but I'm not running. So if he doesn't respond to me, I'll log off.
We want to engage you so that you can tell us how we can have this revolution. We keep on saying we need to have revolution. So at least I'll reach at a point whereby you'll tell Kenyans. Boniface is waiting to hear how this revolution can be done. Boniface is eagerly waiting to see how is it possible to change this thing of Ruto going to rule for 50 years and so on and so forth. So of course, I know we'll engage you on that, and also to our viewers, feel welcomed. I told you that you can always interact with us through the comment section. You just send your comment there, we'll be able to read it. And if you also want to join us in studio and be part of this conversation one-on-one, use the link that I do share on the comment section there and join the studio. And if you're joining me for the first time and you've not subscribed to Afriq 24-hour TV, ensure you do that. And I'm also happy to inform you that right now you can also join and become a member of Afriq 24-hour TV. Of course, this is our live talk show. And today we are looking at the President's American tour. The President is on a 4-day state visit. And I told you the difference between these visits is that in state visit, this is a kind of visit whereby the head of state visits the other or another head of state, and it is the highest visit in the world. So William Ruto is the third president to have a state visit to the United States of America. I told you the first state visit that Kenya had to America was in 1980, February, between 19 to 22 February. That was by President Daniel Arap Moi, the late. We also had another second state visit when we were having the late former President Mwai Kibaki, who had a state visit in October, between October 5 and 7, the year 2003. That one came only a year after he was elected into office. And the third one is happening from today. Is a 4-day visit by His Excellency the 5th President William Ruto. So far,
Leo, give Black before his internet goes off.
President Uhuru Kenyatta, who did not have a state visit, but they did visit United States of America for business purposes or some private purposes, but not state visit. So Black, karibu sana. You can say hello and tell us your view or your expectations on this state visit that began with the William Ruto meeting Kenyans at Atlanta? We cannot hear you. I don't know if you've not.
Oh, sorry. Can you
If
hear me now?
you're muted
Nasai.
or okay.
Nasai.
Yeah, we can now hear you. Though we
Yeah.
can hardly hear you.
You can hardly hear me.
You're now okay.
Okay. So as I was saying, first of all, hello to the viewers, panelists. I know most of these other panelists have never seen me. Yes, this is Black, the one and the only Black. But the rest other panelists, Kenya Rebel, Leo, they've seen me before. I want to also salute the viewers from the comment section. I've seen Goodyear, I've seen Geoffrey Ruto, I've seen Esther, I've seen one Makiadi. Makiadi kuja hivi juu. Kuja kwa studio. And all the fellow viewers wherever you are, I hope mko poa na wasalimia. Now, in regards to the topic today, before I jump into it, I just want to reiterate something that Kenya Rebel has just said, but I would like to slightly expound it. He spoke
Go
about the
ahead.
middle class. I did not actually get exactly what he was saying. He was saying that he wants to make the country poor, or he wants to not get what he said, but I just heard that he mentioned the word middle class. The rest was gibberish to me. But what I can say or add to it is, I agree that there's extra burden that's being placed on the middle class because number one, if you look at the taxes, right? Yeah, magari. The highest number of vehicles in the Kenyan roads are from the middle class. We already know by virtue of numbers, statistics, we have more poor people than the rich people. Very rich people are few. They hardly even get 30% of our population. I mean, the rich people, the rich Kenyans. And when it comes to matters economy, the rich people, as like we said, their numbers is few, but the middle class are more. So when it comes to vehicles, there are more middle class out there driving than the rich are. That said, if this tax is going to be implemented, it's going to be the middle class that are going to be coughing up more money than the rich, the rich class. That said, I can concur in saying that it's the middle class that are going to be carrying the economy, and extra burden is being placed on them. And I think government needs to incentivize and put up policies that are going to reverse this in matters to do with the burdens being placed on the middle class, because this would mean that it's restraining them from having extra money which they would otherwise use for other investments that would also be adding productivity to the country, right? Because if a lot of it is going to be spent in expenses such as paying taxes and higher costs of living, then at the end of the day, what money is left with the Kenyan from the middle class is very little. Cannot do much with it, so it's going to have reverse effect on the economy. So I want to say yes, middle class hapo wamekaliwa kidogo, and they need to have a talk with their member of parliament, or at least find a way. I don't know how, but maybe that is something that we ought to sit down and discuss as Kenyans, and to try and chat a way as to how or what can be done to reverse that. Secondly, it matters to do with the plane that was used by the president. It's unfortunate that our plane is not able to fly more than 5 hours continuous flight, right? And as you know, Kenya to US, you cannot do anything less than at least 16, 17 hours, 18 hours. The least you can do I've ever seen is about 15, so let's say 16 hours. But mostly average you have to do around 17, 18 hours. Correct me if I'm wrong. And when you look at that plane which we have, kulingana na capacity yake, it's not able to fly that long. So which other aeroplane would you have wanted him to fly? The only other aeroplane I would recommended him to fly with perhaps would have been maybe to get to a Kenya Airways flight. We do have direct flights from Kenya to USA by Kenya Airways, just like all the other presidents have been doing in the past. They've been using Kenya Airways. Unachukua VIP or first class rather, Kenya Airways, regular flight kama kawaida, regular schedule. I want to travel now direct flight. I think that would have been a better alternative than to go and lease or hire a plane that would be costing 2 million at an hour. And people are saying that it's going to cost the taxpayer around 200 million just for the entire trip. Because as it is right now, hiyo ndege penye imepakiwa, it's still counting. I don't know if we understand the consequences of that. Penye imesimama tu sahii ikingojea ile time yenye rais atataka kurudi mtaani, we are still paying for that. We are not only paying for the flight that it took, the flight time that it took, no. As it is right now, bado tunailipia. So if he chooses, let's say, to say that I think naonelea hapa we need to extend a day or two, it means then we'll also have to extend the pay which will be paying at the end of the whole total trip, which to me I don't think it is a wise choice or a wise idea as to why we ended up to pick that route. And it matters to do with investors. Bwana Kenya Rebel, any investor that gets into any business, their key concern is to make profit, to make money. Whether it will be a foreign investor, it will be a Kenyan investor, it would key is to make money, profit. So the only issue is when it comes to how much are they taking out versus how much are they living in your country, and what other extra benefits do you get as a result of this foreign investor coming in to bring in their money. That is where now the discussion is, and that is where now you require proper professionals that can negotiate these deals and these trade agreements with these investors, right? So that is where the whole issue is. But actually having foreign investors into the country is not a problem. If anything, it's good, right? Because number one, of course, itapatiana watu kazi. Number two, watu wakipata kazi, you know the ripple effects. I don't have to go into it because ukijua mtu kuna kazi, you'll have money. If you have money, you know there are so many things that you can do with that money, right? So there's a plus to that. But then what other extra pluses are we going to be getting from that? Could it be from taxation of these foreign investors that we'll be getting income from? Perhaps that is right. It could be the CSR, corporate social responsibilities of the investors, businesses that we're going to benefit from, maybe. And by percentage wise, the money that the investor is going to be taking out from the total that you would have made, how much percentage of that total which he made would have remained in the country? Now, those are the aspects which we would rather have a discussion on. But saying that, oh, they're coming to take everything. Mwanabiashara yote hata kama ni wewe unataka kuanza biashara, unataka kutengeneza pesa, utaleta pesa yako tu, unataka kusaidia wananchi. Get that right. It's just now ujue kama either huyu mtu ile ambao anaingiza na ile anataka kutoa, will he be ripping us off or not? That is where now the main discussion should be. That's how I look at it. So I'll not say much and just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Black. I know those who maybe there's some who always wanted to see you. At least today they've had an opportunity to see this Black. They've just been hearing Black, 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 Black. So who is this Black? So I'll give it to you, Kenya Revolutionary. I know you are having some responses that you want to make, or maybe you want to respond to one or two issues raised by Black. So you can take it.
Yeah, just briefly before we left, so we don't let Kale anyamaze sana.
Yes.
Black, saying that foreign investments into our country is an advantage, that's an academic statement. What I'm trying to say, and there's a book I'm still struggling to finish here because I don't have time. It's called corporatocracy. How corporations are basically, actually it's called corporate coup d'etat. How corporations are taking over sovereignty of individual nations. And the point I'm trying to drive here, Black, if you're listening, I can see your face. I enjoy seeing your face for the first time in a long time because you're usually on the dark. Is this so-called foreign investments that you talk about, the bilateral trade deals, they're usually not to the developing countries' advantage, merging economies, as we call them. For example, US and Kenya having a deal. It's usually a one-way street. Okay? It's them getting more than we do. And for example, we can have this this whole thing we call economic free zones. I know you can come here and argue that it's a good thing. It's an incentive for corporations, foreign corporations, to pay less taxes in order to employ most of our youth. Okay, wapate kazi, wadidio. But if you look at so many cases, and you know, economic zones are not only in Kenya; it's all over across the nations, China, whatever. These people, these corporations that are being brought, for example, in Kenya, there's one in is it called Riverside Mall or whatever the case is. You know what happens is this: they make deals with the government where, yes, thank you, Godia. Black, I'm helping my brother Black. You know, last time he thought US had gold, so I'm helping him. He'll be a convert by the end of the day. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is this: they usually make deals with the government where the working conditions for the corporations that are within this economic free zone, if there's working conditions that are violating the labor laws in that country, the country cannot say anything. Atwoli, the member of Kotu or the government cannot come and say you are mistreating our workers. They are working overtime. They cannot work more than 8 hours. Whatever. The government have no say. Basically, they're saying that if you're within these free zones, they have sovereignty. That's why you see a lot of cases of what China wanna chapa our workers. You see those cases of Chinese people whipping wanna chapa our workers at kwa sababu mmekuja kuchelewa, or if you've been working 18 hours and you're complaining. So what I'm trying to say is this: be very wary when you hear this whole mambo ya foreign investments. What is the solution? What's the alternative? These foreign investments. What we can do is this: we can say, okay, you want to like, for example, I'll use Burkina Faso because that's a prime perfect example for Africa. The president of Burkina Faso say this. The Ibrahim Traore say this. Okay, France, munataka kuja kuinvest hapa kwa Africa. Sawa. This is what we are going to do. You are going to train our young folks to work in this foundry where they'll process the gold that we have here to remove it from the ground. Okay, more train, they become They know what they are doing. And after that, we shall give you a percentage, which we determine what percentage we are giving you. We determine the price where we are going to sell this gold after it has been refined in our country. Okay? But the whole point is this. These companies that come to Burkina Faso, they come with the knowledge, the machinery, the know-how. They teach our young folks how to do it. And within the next 10 years, when we have enough people who are trained, where we don't need these French people to, tell us how things work. We know how to do it. We can kick them off, and we'll be self-sufficient, where our young people know what to do, and they train each other how to take this gold from the ground, process it, and we sell it to whatever prices we decide, because we have the gold. So that is the kind of foreign investment that I would like. I had Senator Wabusia, Okia Mtata, said something about there was I think a steel factory in Busia somewhere, and he was mentioning the same thing. If you are going to bring a Chinese company, to come and help us out in our steel producing factory, let us, wakuja watusaidie, but the emphasis is on training us on how to do these things, so that in the next few years we don't need them, so we can contract them for the next 5 years. Then once we are well trained, our wanaishia, we can take over as our people, where we can do it by ourselves. So that's why I say your answer was kind of academic. Yes, foreign investment by itself is not a bad thing, but how are these trade deals kind of been handed over? And that's why I referred you to that book that I was talking about. Most of these trade deals that are being foreign investments that come to Africa, yes, they call them foreign investment, but the deal is not fair on our part. Hao majamaa wanakuja wanasema, okay, tutakuja hapo, here is the thing, we shall start let's say Amazon inakuja wanasema, we shall set our rules. Now the government of that country cannot infringe on the rules that our policies, the rules za hii company. So hata mtu akichapwa, if somebody dies in that company, the government of that country cannot say, cannot sue that company. So that is what I'm talking about. We have to have, that's why I'm not excited when I hear people talk about foreign investment. There's a Nigerian author that says that the colonialists, they changed their name. Instead of calling themselves colonialists, they call themselves foreign investors. They're coming through these operations. So that's the point I'm trying to make. You have to read the book to actually get the proper context of it. I can show you the book, the name of it. You can Google it on Amazon, so you can read it and get what the point I'm making. Anyway, I'll stop there. Hopefully I'm clear what I'm saying.
All right. Thank you. Black, what is it? I want to give it to Caleb. What do you have to say? And maybe
if you listen keenly to what I said, Kenya Rebel, then you'll understand that what I said was 90% similar to what you've just said, because I mentioned clearly that it all depends on the negotiations, how well you negotiate that business, right? And that is the good example which you've given, Burkina Faso president, or rather Captain Traore, that what you've just said is he has negotiated well. So it goes to reiterate what I just said. It all depends on how well you negotiate, to see how much percentage of whatever has been made remains in your country, and how much percentage of what has been made goes out of the country with the foreign investor. That's what I mentioned. What you've added though, and I agree, is capacity building. And that's what Traore, and again, it all falls still under the how well you negotiate yourself. They have negotiated well. That along with the deal of these French people coming in to put money in their economy, especially in the gold sector, like you said, they would train the Burkina Fasos, the Burkinabes. That's how they're called, Burkinabes. They will train the Burkinabes. That said, it will it will add it would have made capacity building to the Burkinabes. That is the thing that we've added extra, but that is part of the negotiations. Like I said clearly,
Black,
finish.
if I
I
may.
want to finish by saying this. Just allow me, and I want to finish by saying this. It all falls under that one sentence that I said. It will all depend on the negotiation. Now, unfortunately, like you well outlined or painted a picture, is that our African leaders have always negotiated these deals to the disadvantage of their people. Most of them have never had the good of their people in the negotiations, but the good for themselves. So they would give very bad agreements that would be to the disadvantage of their people, but they would get kickbacks from the other ends through the investor.
So
So
do we have to
that
say
said,
that is
that
corruption?
said, that said, it's in the negotiations. Key
Black,
is in the
black,
negotiations. Thank you.
Black, and this is what I wanted to make another point too, which I maybe forgot to put on. It is also about ownership, because we have to remember what got Lumumba killed. Lumumba, the first thing he did when he became the president of Congo, he nationalized the country's resources. Okay, so most of these investors that you will speak about, that's what I'm telling you. These are colonialists coming in as investors. They're coming through these corporations. That's why I mentioned when Ruto was talking about, I was so against Ruto when he was talking about, since our parastatals are not working, let's hand them over to the private sector. And who are this private sector? They always if you look at the majority of them, are foreign corporations. What I'm saying is this: it is the foreign corporations that claim ownership. They want to bring their company. Look at South Africa. They have gold mines and all these diamond mines, but who owns them? It is the foreign corporations that own them. It's not a South Africa. It's not a national owned gold mine. And that's what I'm saying. These guys, they come with the name of investors, but they want to maintain control. Coming back of Traore, just to make it sure, Traore, what he did is he kicked out the French, the Americans, to take ownership and nationalized all the industries, the gold mines, the cotton that now they control, and said, no, the country owns this. It's no longer a French company. It's no longer a French corporation. We Burkinabes, as you've mentioned, are now, and we dictate the terms. You come, if you train our people and show them how to do it, then we'll give you a percentage which we dictate. Okay, not you guys. If you don't want it, that's fine. We can get the Russians to do that. So what I'm saying is
that's the negotiations.
It is negotiation, but you have the control of the negotiating, at the negotiating table.
And that's the point, Mr. Kenyarebo. That's why I say it.
No, but the way you are saying, initially, initially, that's why I started by saying, right, but that's why I said initially, your point about foreign investment, it's academic, but if you're going to look at it closely and see the kind of negotiations, the kind of deals that Africans, even in Kenya, most corporations that we have in Kenya, in Africa in general, they are always owned by foreign corporations. We don't have control of these corporations. Okay, they're owned by foreigners. But they come and take advantage. Wanatuandika tu kazi za kubeba chuma hapo for 8 hours, and after 10 years they leave with the profits and everything else. That's why I'm saying, how about we nationalize all our resources and we get to dictate what, how, and whatever. But Ruto, what he's doing is he's basically giving up every facet of our economy. That's why I mentioned that book. It's written. If you take the IMF loans and they put you under structural adjustment program, this is what you have to do. You'll have to give out most of your industries to foreign corporations where they will own it. You will work there, but they own it, and the profits goes back to their countries. And that's why I say Ruto is being a puppet in that regard. Anyway, that's what I was saying. Thank you. Go ahead.
I have no disagreement on that, Mr. Kenya Rebel.
Let
That's
me
why,
give it
just
to.
to finish, just a second.
Okay.
I have no disagreement on that. And it just goes back to, you are just reiterating the same point which I have just made in my second chance which I was given to speak just a while ago, that unfortunately it is the African leaders which we've had that have been giving us raw deals when they go to negotiate for their own sake. You understand? For example, the foreign investor can come say, you know what, we kubali tukupatie hii deal mbaya hivi, manake wewe ndo rais, you are the only one who can legitimize that deal. You as the president Kenya Rebel. So we kubali tukupatie hii deal chafu hivi, lakini ujue kati yako iko pande wetu, sisi tutakupatia huko. Sijui kama unaelewa. That is what nimebidi niseme na Kiswahili that way.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying it's for the sake,
and that's why they made it in our elections.
that's what I'm saying. The whole issue lies in the negotiations. And the best part about what I had, aside from the capacity building, which you mentioned, Traore, is that value addition would be also within Burkina Faso. And that is an example, a good case example, that even I think Magufuli had done the same when it comes to the minerals which they had. He was talking about they have a lot of minerals, but a lot of it is being exported outside.
And he ended up
It will
dead.
go and be processed outside, and it will come back as finished products. That is why he kept saying that no, that has to end. All the minerals that in that country will be processed in that country, value added in that country, and only be exported outside as finished products. So equally, if these foreign investors are coming into the country, let them use the product materials from our country, add value, make value addition within Kenya. If there's anything that's going to be exported, let it be exported as finished products. That is number one. Two, let's have a discussion as to a negotiation as to how much. Only by how much, to us is the taxation. How can we really tax them? That is how we'll get our money back. The only way Kenya or a government gets their money back is the tax. How much tax will they be getting from that business? Now it matters to do now how many employers they will get from your country, the salary, average salaries, and so on and so forth. Thank you. So it still goes down to the negotiations. How well you negotiate your way. If you have your country at, if you have your country at heart, then you give your country the best deal. If you have your own personal interest at heart, then you'll give your country a very raw deal.
Very briefly, before we give Kale, I'd agree with you, Black. That's why I say, now you understand. Hold on. Just quick. That's why you see the medal in our, that's why the medal in our elections. And number two, shit. I'm going blank. I was saying something important. Hold on. Shit. Give it to Kale, but I'm just saying, now you see why they always get involved in our electoral process, and that's why we have so many coup d'etat. The French and the British are always involved in that. And another Ninium, I said, you gave a very good example when you say when I become president, unakuja na negotiate na sisi. In the Kenyan context, before we even tax these corporations that you're talking about, the foreign corporations, the money that we collect, Black, the money we collect, tukianza kusema, if we just deal with corruption, and I believe you'll agree with me, corruption alone, we have a law in place, I think Article 226(5), inasema anyone that has been in government official from Jomo Kenyatta to right now, ambao aliiba pesa, if we can recover the money from the Kenyatta family, Moi family, Raila family, all those people wakina Nyachae, ile pesa waliiba, and we repatriate the money that they stole, it's in trillions in dollars, okay? If we can repatriate that money alone, and the corruption that's happening right now akina nani, Ujama wa Nairobi, and Olos Kakamega, whatever the case is, that is enough to finance our budget and all these projects that we want to do. You don't have to raise the taxes on the middle class, and we can actually revitalize our industries where it can create jobs, where we bring more people in the job workforce where we can expand our tax base. You see what I'm saying? That's why I'm saying corruption na hii mambo yote is all interconnected. Anyway, patia Kale.
Thank you. Let me give it to Kale. Kale, of course, among the things that the president is going to do there is to what we are told is looking for investors. I did get it from a certain comment. Somebody said that Meg Whitman is like the president of Kenya. I don't know how that is related. You've also heard people talking about kind of investments that the investors that the president is going to look for. And just I want to respond to this good from a comment from a viewer here. Goodia is saying that the president should look after the Kenyans before foreign investors. Where is the human rights when we need it? So do you think, what are your expectations on this kind of investors that this president will always look for? Are they investors who are going to serve their area of interest, or the investors who are going to serve the interest of Kenyans? For example, you find that because the person who is negotiating for investors is having a large tract of land, so we'll get an investor who in the end is going to ensure that he's using his land. Let me use Uhuru Kenyatta, though he did not do that, I'm not sure. For example, because Uhuru Kenyatta is his family company is the leading producer of milk, so he's going to get an investor who is going to ensure that the milk companies and industry is the one that is benefiting at the expense of Kenyans. So what do you think that William Ruto should do to ensure that this one doesn't happen? Like the kind of investments he's going to involve in are the ones that are going to benefit Kenyans. Now that he's in America looking for investors, in quotes.
He needs he needs a revolution in the sense that example you have given of milk, even apart from the milk, there is this Naivasha dry port. You know who owns the land?
Not really. I'm not certain, but the rumors are that the land in the Naivasha dry port is owned by Uhuru Kenyatta. And the things that we got during the 2022 campaigns, and we are told that is why he decided to take the port services there. And the current regime promised that immediately they take power, these services, all of them are going to be taken back to Mombasa. I did engage, or maybe people who are involved. It was just a verbal declaration, but still the dry port is still operational.
That's exactly my point. You know, it was like the benefit was to go to the family, to the Kenyatta family, not actually the country. So the point is, Ruto should do should have a different, look at the investments. They should be for the benefit of the Kenyans, not his family per se. And that goes hand in hand also with the loans. You know, so far the loans which he has taken within that 1 year, I'm not so sure on the ground what they are translating to, whether they're even coming to Kenya in the first place. So we are not against the loans. What we are against is the loans actually doing what they are supposed to be doing. We don't see any development. We don't see anything happening from the loans which has already been taken. So if the loans are taken and they do what they are supposed to do, no problem. You should go ahead and even take more loans. The only problem is the 1 year so far. I've never seen a big project within that 1 year. So that policy of the loans can go ahead, but let it do what. Let the loans do what they're supposed to be doing. And of course, that one also goes.
Caleb, I'm losing you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm saying that one also goes hand in hand with the taxes, which is putting on Kenyans.
Yeah.
You can go ahead, but let the taxes develop also our country. Let the taxes, benefit the Kenyans. Let us see things like education being free. Let us see things like health being free, as long as he taxes. Let us see even more roads being done through the taxes. Can go ahead. But so far, on the ground, mambo ni tofauti. Thank you.
I don't know if I'm the only one who is not getting you, but there's also a
Tumemsikia
question there
vizuri sana.
from Goodyear. He's talking of another scam is tea coffee wages are low, and when the coffee and tea hits the supermarket shelves in Europe, it's 10 times more. I think this is also one of the things that the president should be addressing over there. And the Kenyans should be expecting that once he comes back, he will be coming back with some good news on this tea and coffee wages thing, whereby Kenyans should be assured that what they are going to be paid for their coffee berries should be able to match what the sellers or maybe what people are paying on the shelves, because there's no need people paying on the shelves 10 times what they get. That is unfairness. And Goodyear is also saying that the president does not have to fly thousands of miles to strike deals. It is the work of a trade minister. Of course, I do agree with you. Each and every ministry, there is a permanent secretary, and there are some staffs that should always be doing that kind of thing. But you'll agree with me that we're in Africa, and Africa is our business. This is when we see most of our presidents, they feel that they have to be part of it, even if it includes launching your village market and such kind of thing. The president must be fully present, and Kenyans are duped. And it's a fact, Kenyans know very well that when you see maybe your area MP launching a market, then that one is a confirmation that is the one who built the market. And some of Kenyans, I can tell you, they don't even read these BQs. You find that something has been done by World Bank or something has been done by a certain foreign organization, and it is clearly indicated in the BQ that this one has been constructed by so and so at this price. But simply because you see your area MP present during the launch or maybe during the opening, that one confirms that the MP built it. If you don't see your MP, you'll say your MP have not done that. So should we blame the president, or we blame these elected leaders, or we blame we Kenyans who are deliberately, I want to say we are deliberately ignorant. We are not ignorant, but we deliberately ignorant.
Leo,
Let me welcome Jeff.
can I say one thing before Buru comes in? Very quickly, short.
Okay.
Is it okay? All right, 2 seconds before
Okay.
Mburu. I'm glad to see Mburu, by the way. I just wanted to say this. Let's not expect anything from this president, Nani, what's his name? Dang, Ruto. I made a video. Again, if you go to my channel, Kenya Revolutionary, I'm promoting myself at the same time. Anyway, I made a video about the GMOs when Bill Gates came to Kenya a few years ago when he became president. And I said, if Kenya accept GMOs, that's the perfect sign that this president is a puppet. And from then on, we've seen every policies that IMF, World Bank, USA want this president to do, he'll do it. Again, going back to the book that I gave you, Leo, that you are going to read, go read it. It explains Ruto can only stay in power if he actualize the policies, but that are actually written to him by the IMF and World Bank. That's why you see somebody said Meg Whitman is probably the president of Kenya. It is true. This is a puppet. So to expect Ruto to make a change, that will not happen. We have to bring our own person. Just look at Burkina Faso. The guy has survived. This is the 10th coup d'etat attempt on his life to kill him, because he kicked off the Americans, he kicked out the French, he kicked out the foreigners, and he's doing something for his people. So it will be very tough. We have to remove all these irredeemable corrupt politicians to implement something that is best for us, because Kenyans, we are still being ruled by the British and the Americans. I'll stop it there.
All right, let me welcome Mburu Karibu Sana. I don't know if you did manage to attend the president's meeting at Atlanta. Maybe if you attended, you can be able to tell Kenyans what transpired, or maybe what it was all about. And apart from that, as you say hello, you can also tell us your expectations. That the president is having a 4-day state visit in the United States of America, and the Kenyans are having so much expectations. So you can tell us, what are some of your expectations? What are some of the things that you feel are going to happen during and after this 4-day state visit?
Thank you so much, Mr. Leo. I'm happy to see my good friend here, Kenya Revolutionary and Mr. Black. First of all, it's good to tell Kenyans what it means, the state visit to the United States. I have heard somebody say that there is no need for the president to travel miles to go and make trade deals. And he is insinuating that that can be done by the foreign ministry, and that to some extent is lack of understanding of what is a state visit, or when you are coming as a visitor of the state of America. A state visit is a formal visit to the United States by a foreign head of state or chief of government. State visits are considered the highest expression of friendly bilateral relations between the United States and the foreign state. So this is the highest honor that the United States gives to the heads of state and to government officials that they regard highly. And in Africa, President William Ruto is the first president to be accorded this kind of honor. So it is a great thing, not just for President William Ruto as a person. It is a great thing for the nation of Kenya. It shows a recognition.
Jeff, maybe, as you proceed, I'm not terminating you, just maybe for the record so that we get it accurate. President William Ruto is the first the first African president to have a state visit in 15 years, not the first one, but in 15 years. So when you say the first without saying 15 years, it means he's the first one ever since maybe such kind of visit started. And he's the third one in Kenya.
So I may not. I
think you can proceed if you are
have a lot of information on that, but it is said, because I had checked before, and that is the information I got, that William Ruto. That it doesn't mean that presidents have not been visiting America, but when you come as the guest of the state, we have to distinguish when people are coming for official duties and when they are coming as state visitors. There is a distinction which I'll be trying to make very clear. It is different. It is totally different. So this is what I was saying. This recognition is important. Politics aside, if we are patriotic, we should sometimes put politics aside and we see things in the right perspective. We see our nation. And we also see that this is an honor, not just to President William Ruto, because if President William Ruto wasn't the president of Kenya, he was not going to be awarded this honor. So it is Kenya which has been recognized that it is taking a lead, not just in Kenya, but also in Africa. And I want to guess that one of the reasons why William Ruto has been singled out as someone who is outstanding. It is because of his ability to articulate issues of Africa. For instance, he was in a position to articulate very well on what is wrong with IMF. And he was also in a position to articulate very well with unfairness that is there in the World Bank. There are things he is able to single out and say that these are things that are making the nations of Africa to lag behind, because the monetary system is not fair. Right from the time he became the president, he has articulated issues that touch not just Africa, but the world globally. He was also in a position to agitate for serious discussion on climate change. And he has been recognized as someone who has the ability to articulate issues and also to lead people in the right direction, not just in Kenya, but the whole of Africa and beyond. And that is one of the reasons why I think they recognize him as someone who deserves this kind of treatment. So I have heard there are a lot of speculations and a lot of noise about the cost of the visit, which is expected. Kenyans, we are always in the mood of politics, which is also a good thing and also a bad thing. And sometimes we also portray a level of ignorance, as if we also don't understand what are the privileges of a president. When the president is traveling, apart from maybe this visit, we will get the details to know how the funding was going about. He enjoys the privilege of travel to any place that he is invited. And the people or the government is supposed to pay for it with no question about it. That is a privilege of the head of state. So we are not expecting our president to go in the economy class to show that he is humble and he cares about his people. Not just in Kenya. Presidents all over the world, they travel for bilateral relations, for economic reasons and other things they go to discuss, and they enjoy those privileges. Why not our president? Why do we make a lot of noise about our president? Sometimes I know it is to achieve political aids, but also let us know how things are done. This is a great honor to the nation of Kenya, not just for America, or it's not just important for Kenya in America, but the perception out there about our country. It is a good thing. It will boost our outlook, tourism, and also the business relation between the two countries, and yeah, such kind of things. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I can see there's some reactions from Goodyear telling you that Ruto doesn't need to go and get orders from President Joe, and we need to rule ourselves without outside noises. Then how long will we be going to rivals? Ruto doesn't need to rule Kenya.
And who told? And you see, that is what I call lack of information. Who said that the president came to get order from anybody? You see? So I don't want to respond to that because I don't want to sound harsh, but that one is out of topic.
Kenya Revolutionary, why are you smiling? You can go ahead and add.
Let me ask Jeffrey. Kenya have had a positive relationship with the US in the next, I don't know how long, so many years, since the Moi days in the 80s. What advantage did Kenya enjoy from having a positive relationship with the USA? What did we enjoy? Whether it's investments or whatever we are being told, what can we mention?
I may not be privy to that information, but I know that the government of America funds so many projects in our country, including supporting our army, even in recruitment, even our judiciary, and so many other sectors like funding the war on HIV, and so many projects that are supported by the government of America. And not only that, we have so many Kenyans working in this nation of America. If we had a hostile kind of relationship, we wouldn't be welcomed, or we wouldn't feel comfortable working here the way we do. We are so many here, and we are treated like citizens, like anybody else. We work like them. We do the same kinds of jobs. So having a good relation is a beautiful thing. And America is a strong nation. So if you can do your research, you will see that billions of dollars come from America to Kenya, which is a good thing. That's what I would say without going into details, because I refrain from talking what I haven't researched on.
So what's wrong with taking the Burkina Faso route? Because they were offered money by IMF and World Bank, and they said, no, we can fund our own projects. We don't want any debts coming from IMF. We can have enough money from our own citizen. The taxes that we collect is enough to fund our projects.
You see,
what's wrong with that kind of thing? Yeah.
Yeah, one thing, Burkina Faso has what we call the mineral resources, and they are there in plenty. And what was happening, there was no balanced kind of business between Burkina Faso and the nation of France. What was happening, France was taking minerals from Burkina Faso without giving the people of that country the value for their minerals. And that caused the hit between them. It is not about IMF or World Bank. If anything, even the nation of America has loans from IMF, from World Bank. So the scenario in Burkina Faso and Kenya is totally different. We rely largely on agriculture, who are our customers. America is one of them. In fact, America now has become one of the largest business partner in the world. So we don't enjoy the privileges of having a lot of minerals like Burkina Faso. The other thing, you see, there was a kind of a colonialism which was happening there, because the money of Burkina Faso has always been saved in the bank in France. So even as we are talking, they are not able to access their funds. So there was no balanced relation between the two nations. So that is why they went that route of the coup d'etat. It succeeded because France was oppressive to Burkina Faso. America is not oppressive in any way to Kenya. If anything, most of the funds that come, they are not in form of loans. Our largest debtors are Chinese, not Americans. Like okay. Now the funds they give for AIDS, we don't refund, we don't pay. They come in terms of AIDS. You know, the funds they give to our judiciary, we don't refund. They come in terms of support, because, you know, people don't understand. This nation of America, it has 50 states, and some of these states, their finances or their budgets are bigger than the whole budget of Kenya. Take, for example, the New York state. The budget of one state in America is larger than the budget of the entire of our country, Kenya. So Kenya is just a very, very small country to think that we are being exploited by America. The only thing they are doing is to support. Previously, maybe they used to interfere so much with our politics, but I don't see it happening, because with the coming of Chinese, what they're just looking to maintain good relation with the nations of Africa.
So you don't believe that economically we are not reliant on the British and Americans? They don't dictate our policies. They don't dictate anything that we do. They don't. Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. So you don't. Okay. I guess the last question I wanted to ask you is, when I mentioned Burkina Faso, I meant, yes, you might say that they have minerals and we don't, and whatever the case is. But I'm just saying the whole idea of like Kibaki said, kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea. We have enough money that we can collect from our taxpayers to actually take care of the development that we need in Kenya. That's why I keep on mentioning, if you listen to Jimmy Wanjigi when he did his audit, and even challenge anyone to go look at the SGR and stuff, and they say the money that we paid for the SGR loan was enough to actually fund that SGR project 5 times over. What I'm trying to say is this: the money that we collect from the taxpayers, okay, is enough to fund any budget we have, plus the developments that we'd like to have. So why not do that? Get rid of the corruption, which is the number one reason why these funds always don't make their way to the projects or the budget that we come up with. The controller of budget can tell you so. Why can't we just tighten, get rid of corruption, prosecute the people who are, historically speaking, use that money to develop our country so we can be self-reliant instead of relying on the US, China, and all these countries giving us loans and dictating the terms of the loans? Because the loans that we just took the Eurobond to is actually over higher interest rate than the previous one. So why can't we just do that instead of borrowing here and there, left, right, and center, money that our grandkids and great grandkids will pay for? That's what I'm asking, Nani Mboru.
And I hear you. This is what I want to say. One, I totally agree with you that we ought to fight and to hate corruption, because corruption is the monster which is destroying our country to a larger extent. But even minus corruption, I want to state here that there is no any nation in the world, as much as people can be hardworking, as much as they can have minerals, there is no any nation in the world without loans. However, and this is what President Ruto has been saying, that the nations of Africa have been oppressed by bad laws, monetary laws and procedures, or the terms of borrowing, because we have been borrowing at an interest rate which is very higher than other developed countries, because they classify our nations as nations that are risky to lend money to. And because of that, we have been setting interests that are very high and procedures that are very difficult before our countries could access the loans. So what we should be agitating for is not to say that we can rely on ourselves, is to fight to get favorable terms and conditions when it comes to borrowing loans, that we should be able to borrow like any other country of the world the same way. So this America you see here has a lot of loans.
Jeff.
Even China, even Japan.
Jeff Buru.
Terms are different. Yes.
Jeff, before you go on, just a quick example. Why should we go to another bank? I'm just giving an example. Why should we go to another bank, a foreign bank, where we are complaining, oh, you are not giving us a favorable terms of the loan, while, let's say, in your own household, if you cut down your expenses, na hizo ma corruption ambayo inafanyika kwa familia yako, let's say you keep on eating outside, you ordering pizza every day, unakula chakula nje, unaenda kwa mall, unanunua nini, ukikata hizo na utumie hiyo pesa to start a small business, basically I'm saying the money that we make, we can actually fund the things that we want to do, budget to pay for the budget that we have, fund our development things, borrow from our own national banks. We don't have to go to foreign banks, America, IMF, World Bank, Chinese, and ask them for favorable terms of borrowing. Why can't we just take care of the money which we know we have, but we are wasting it through corruption and every other stuff? Why can't we do that instead of complaining and talking about that nyinyi watu wa IMF, you're not giving us favorable terms compared to what you're giving to America and everything. We should go out there. If we already have the money here, if we just keep our house in order. That's the argument I'm making, Jeff, and I'll finish with that.
Yeah, and just my final also response, I want to say that that topic of how much are we correct versus our expenditure is something that we can only discuss now generally, because we don't have the figures. And unless you are able to come with the figures and say, this is the much Kenya correct annually, and this is the expenditure that we are required to cater for, then we compare and see. You see, with our money, we can fund what we are supposed to pay. Without that, it would be very hard to say confidently that we are able to do it. For me, I think we are not able to do it, because the owners of numbers tell us that in Kenya, 55% of our total revenue goes to the recurrent expenditure, whereas 45% goes to other developments. So just by that, it tells you that there are things that are not right, that we don't even have money for our own recurrent expenditure. So there are so many things to be put into the right perspective. I tried to follow up the report of Miwajig. This was something that nobody could prove whether it is right or wrong. You wonder even where to start.
He gave you the reference where you can find the digits. He told you Central Bank of Kenya, the Treasury. You can get that information. It's available.
You see, when someone tells you that he has done an audit from independence until now, and he has found that Kenya has no debt, my friend, that is just crazy.
Boo, if I tell you,
that is crazy. Boo. That is why even the members of parliament, they were just dismissing him respectively, because they knew.
No, Jeff, let's be fair. Nikikuja hapa nikwambie nimefanya audit nikapata kwa nyumba yako.
You remember when that gentleman you called Jimmy Wanjigi went to parliament? He gave them the documents and he told them, go get report from the Kenya Commercial Bank, from the Central Bank, and he was sending them.
Compare it. And Auditor General.
These are not my documents. These are government documents. These audits are done by government auditors. Blah blah blah.
I want to tell you,
our MPs. I know we have MPs. Do you think that our MPs are ignorant, or they are too busy to do this kind of research? Because most of the MPs,
and they're supposed to do it. They're supposed to do it.
They go to parliament.
They are not ignorant.
When I was young, I would see the young Orengo, Kiraitu Murungi, and the people like Paul Muite. This nowadays, I think he's old. I can't imagine seeing him today. You'll see them in that parliament, morning session, afternoon session. Nowadays, we see our MPs once in a while, like they go around their businesses, only pass through parliament. I don't know what changed. Or is it because they are three? So not easy for you. The debate can go on without them.
Yeah, Mburu, the point Leo is making is this, Mburu, very quickly. He's saying the documents that he was using to do his audit, you can actually go and verify, find them at CB. Yeah, you can get them. It's not something that he's making up. That's what he was telling
I can tell you for sure that was an exercise in futility. The most crazy thing I have ever heard since I was born. That someone is saying, I have done an audit since the nation of Kenya got independence until now, and this is where we are. Remember, every institution has limitations. There is the extent to which even parliament cannot go. So you cannot tell me that our parliament has the ability to start now, stop everything, to start investigating the piles of documents that we are
They're supposed to. They are 2 years behind. They're supposed to.
I'm telling you.
That is part of their job.
I'm telling you, that is an exercise in futility.
No.
And I said
yes.
here, did zero work. That is not how to go about
Jeff,
it.
Jeff, they're
No?
supposed to. In fact,
And
they're 3
if-
years behind. They're
and
supposed to be doing auditing.
that is maybe another department, but not parliament. I'm guessing.
Part of the legislative body.
I am guessing if you assuming, there is what we call empathy. Empathy is when you are in a position. Listen. Let me finish what I'm saying. It's when now stop talking as Kenya revolutionary. Now start talking as a member of parliament. Somebody has come here with the documents since 1963, and he's telling you in this document, I have found that Kenya has no debt. Therefore, it is your work to verify whether what I'm saying is true. You, as Kenya Revolution, where would you start? You now, where will you start as a member of parliament?
I will start from the start. Because remember, sorry, Black, you want to say something?
Yes.
Okay.
I had to
I'll
come
be in the background. I have to do something.
I
I'm
listen
listening.
I listen a lot.
Okay.
And I wanted to just make it clear. I don't know if you can hear me, guys.
We can hear you.
Yes. My brother Mburu, nice to see you. It is worth noting that we do have a parliamentary accounts committee. Do you know what their role is in parliament? Their role is just to look at these things, at the audits. You understand? So we do have the parliament to do this job. We have a committee specifically for that.
So, my good brother, so you think the parliament, our parliament, the committee, the small financial committee that we have, it has the ability to scrutinize documents from 1963 to date?
Now you see, each parliament or each house that comes in, they have this parliamentary accounts committee, and they do audits for each financial year.
For each financial year.
For each financial year. Now, for each financial, just a minute. For each financial year, a financial year goes through everything. So that said, there is a report that comes out of all this audits, isn't it? Now, simply what has to do is just go through the reports, right? And if there's something that is coming off, not adding up, then they can further scrutinize the actual financial year to find out or to establish the details of what may have happened. Because remember, they're working hand in hand with the Auditor General. So theirs is to go through the audit reports. And these parliamentarians, they're not just ordinary parliamentarians. These are parliamentarians with the right qualifications for this. They have had the experience in doing this. The likes of Kinambandi, Kinaichungwa. You don't have Sudis there. I'm telling you. That's how it is.
In accounts, my brother, you can't just table a report with the figures. Those figures are supported by supporting documents.
Of course.
The deliveries, the reports, the receipts. Now, it's not as simple as I have done audit for a company, just one section of the company. And I'm telling you, it is not easy as people think. Or as Jimmy Wajigi wanted Kenyans to think this is something that he has done conclusively. And now it's only that even the members of parliament knew whatever he is saying is not possible for them. They don't have the capacity to do it. And remember, technology had not even advanced in all those years he's taking us back. So there is a lot of physical work to be done. Apart from the soft copies, many of the documents that need scrutiny are what we call the hard copies. They are not even in computers. So that is an exercise which I don't think it can be done with a lot of planning. It would require a lot of money also and a lot of human resource for such an exercise to be done. So I would really even question the methodology that he applied to know all these things from 1963. I can tell you, even the members of parliament, the only thing they wanted to do is what we call PR, to show the country that we have listened to him. But beyond that, nothing much can be done. If he really wanted to, if he really wanted to help us, what he would have done is to take maybe the government of Kibaki. This is the much they borrowed, and this is how payments were made. Now the government of Uhuru Kenyatta, this is how much they borrowed versus how they paid. Not even going to 1963. And now show us how we don't have debts. And now how are we going to tell the people who have led to the nation, and they know very well that we owe them. And remember, we have policies, international policies, that you cannot abscond to pay debts. You cannot just wake up one day and say, oh, I have realized that we don't have debt. We are not going to pay. It's not as easy as people think. You know, it would mean Kenya being sidelined economically and receiving so many sanctions that Kenya cannot even do trade with other nations. So it is not as easy as people think. It is good that he tried, but I don't think that exercise actually is even something I would like to discuss, because I know it's not very, very easy. It's not very easy.
You know, there's something that you need to understand. There's a difference between being difficult and impossible. These are two different things. Something may be difficult, something may be tasking, but it may not be impossible.
So who would be willing to undertake such an exercise? Because each and every government.
I don't think that argument of who will be willing or what is of importance. I mean,
you see, I don't know which government would stop implementing its agenda and start now doing scrutiny from 1963. And remember, each and every government has time limit. It is 5 years and you go. You waste your time, it's up to you. Kenyans will judge you on performance. So in my language, we put it in a funny way. I don't know how to put it in English, but let me just say it would be an exercise in futility. And I also don't want to use how in Kikuyu we put it. There are some things we do that they won't see the light of day, or they won't have any impact to what we wanted to achieve. So before you begin to do what you are doing, ask yourself, what do I want to achieve? How will I help the country? Is it something that can be done? Because as a private citizen, the best thing he would have done, if for sure he knew that he had evidence that Kenya, we have overpaid and we don't have debt, he was not even supposed to go to parliament, because parliament has its duty. He was supposed to take his now evidence to the judiciary for determination through his lawyers, if he was confident with his findings. So to me, and I said it here, I don't see Jimmy Wajigi and his reports going anywhere. Now it is several months, almost 1 year. Do we even hear about that report? So it's not even something I would like to discuss. Mr. Leo.
I've seen Mzalendo. I think we can give him an opportunity to say hello and give us his expectations on the presidential visit. I'm trying to engage. We are going to continue with this kind of conversation. Of course, after this, we are going to have somebody called Dr. Obiero, who is also going to take us through some of the expectations of the president's visit, and he's also going try to explain to us why this kind of visit is important and the effects that Kenyans are going to feel after the visit. So I'll give, after after this short break, I'll give Mzalendo an opportunity to say hello and give his expectations. So I think at around 6 a.m. Kenyan time, I don't know what time it will be on your end, we are going to host one Dr. Obiero in this studio. All right, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and once again, welcome to this show. As I always tell you, this is an open political talk show that enables you to interact with Kenyan politics. Of course, today we're just trying to weigh in the presidential tour, the American visit. Of course, it is a state visit, one of its kind, and I know Kenyans are having so many expectations. So let us get connected. Let us interact with each other. You can always use the comment section there and let us know where you are joining us from. And of course, if you've not subscribed to Afriq 24 Hour TV, make sure that you subscribe. And the ones who subscribed, I also want you to go a step ahead and join and become a member of Afriq 24 Hour TV. I know there are so many people who have subscribed, over 800. So if you can become members, that would really be wonderful. I can always see somebody is there. Obera is saying that, I don't know who Obera is referring to. Good year, of course, it is great seeing you there. I'm having, who else? I'm having Geoffrey Ruto, of course. I'm really enjoying and following up on your conversation. Of course, we've also had the Kenya Rebellion. So if you also want to join us in studio and be part of this conversation, I've also shared a studio link on the comment section. So you can use that studio link, join the studio, take part in this conversation. So Mzalendo, I wanted to tell you to mute, but you can proceed and say hello and give us your expectations or what you are feeling so far concerning the state visit that the president is undertaking in the United States of America.
Thank you, Leo, and once again, I want to say hi to everybody on the comment section. Good year, nimepata salamu. Thank you very much for continuing to be part and parcel of the discussion. Good evening, Mburu. I saw Kenya Rebellion at some point. Good evening to them, wherever they are. Well, Leo, first of all, I just want to say this visit is a unique one because it marks the friendship between the two countries. It marks 60 years of friendship between America and Kenya. So first, it's a celebration that many people don't really know. It is a celebration that they started this conversation a long time ago, 60 years ago. Now, this visit will strengthen so many things. Apart from diplomatic ties, we are looking at the economic ties between Washington and Nairobi. So there are so many things that they will look into: trade and investment, issues of technology, issue of clean energy. You know, America is leading in the issue of clean energy. So Kenya has a lot to benefit and to learn from the first world when it comes to clean energy and manufacture. Now, I believe the president will also be pitching on behalf of the Kenyan government on the jobs that they can bring to Kenya. especially in the technological field, telecommunication, AT&T, T-Mobile, and all that. You have to know, Leo, that the Asian countries have already dominated in that kind of market. And it is important that we also tap in. Even in Nigeria, I've already tapped into the US market. Customer service, for example, for my mobile provider, I got it from Philippines. There's a lady who is in Philippines who will pick up my call and try to answer the problems that I'm having on my end. And this is an American company, so the same can be done in Kenya. And the reason why I'm saying we are advantaged is that we speak English properly, and people will understand what Kenyans are saying. So I encourage the president to talk to the companies, to the big companies that are here in the US. Remember, Leo and the panelists, that some of these companies are bigger than the Kenyan economy. So we here we come to beg, come and try and assist our economy grow. There is also the aspect of cultural exchange, educational collaboration. There are so many Kenyans here also who are immigrants, and there are many Americans who are married to Kenyans. Probably what they need to be talking about is fast-tracking the visa application for immigrants who are trying to come to the US. Now that we have that kind of collaboration, then that is something that will happen if they pen it down. Another aspect is on security. You remember, Kenya is very, very instrumental for the American people, the American Army. They have their training base in Nanyuki. So it is strategic. It is very, very strategic. And the UN headquarters are indeed in Gigiri. So it is very, very strategic at this particular point. You don't downplay it. The issues that will be discussed here are issues that will benefit the whole country. The issue of climate change, if you get a good deal, there's a lot of money in the climate change that is being pumped by the development partners. So this is something that I look up to. I want to see all the details of whatever agreement or arrangement that they have made. And we look forward to many good things that will happen to our country. Otherwise, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mzalendo. You said we look forward for having some positive response, or maybe some positive results from this kind of visit. Maybe if you can just take us through, like, how this kind of state visit maybe is. Like when the president arrived, the first thing we saw, he had a meeting with Kenyan, and maybe he was trying to brief them on how things are, and also trying to get to know how they feel about his policies. And it was quite evident from that meeting that Kenyans who are in America, most of them still feel that the policies of the president are so unpopular based on the kind of questions that they were asking. Do you think they got the best response, or they got satisfied with the kind of the response that the president and the delegation gave them concerning most of the worrying questions that they had? I hope you did follow what happened at Atlanta yesterday, some few hours ago, if I don't.
Actually, I've just stepped in from work. I'm yet to follow what really happened, but I believe we share the same sentiments with most of the people living in the diaspora. Their expectations are high, especially on the money transfer. They need to do something about the money transfer. The taxes are, of course, very, very high. Those are the issues that they are going to discuss, and many more if they didn't raise the opportunities if the government didn't raise the opportunities that are there for people in diaspora to come and invest at home, that is something that they ought to have raised there in Atlanta. And what are some of the things that really bother people in the diaspora? The issue of security. Security is also something that is bothering us here, and infrastructure. So if the infrastructure can be worked out, then we are okay as people in the diaspora. Remember, the diasporians pump in a lot of money, And for me, the negotiation would have been they need to get a pie on that table because of the money that they pump in and their money is used in development, which sometimes they don't benefit directly. Leo, you're on mute.
They asked about fertilizers. Maybe I can just play that, and maybe you can be able to tell me whether that response was satisfying or not.
Lady, wewe mtu ya kofia, wewe si wewe unasema. There's a lady there. Yes. Stand up, lady there. You can stand up, madam. Yeah. Haya. Uliza maswali, boss.
Mr. President, I'm honored to be in your presence. I am. My name is Tom Mongosi. I am from New York, but I am a very, how can I say, I'm a diaspora farmer. In that, I mean, I do a lot of acreages in Narok for wheat. But I know, I'm not too sure, but I know it came to your attention that this planting season, I lost over 250,000 on fake fertilizer, which was sold to us by the National Cereal and Produce Board. So from your office and from the ministry that is standing in for agriculture, as farmers, we are suffering on this end of getting things that really, I'm not sure if the government knows or the government has party to it or what it is that you need to tell us as farmers, because I'm trying to fight for my refund of all the almost 100 bags I got for fake fertilizer.
I will answer you right away. Number one, we asked every farmer who bought fertilizer that was finally identified not to be good to register, and 7,000 farmers registered. And already we have started compensation of every farmer. You will get equivalent fertilizer without having to pay. Every farmer. That is number one. That is number one. And number two, we have taken the managing director of Cereals Board and all his team. They are now waiting for prosecution. We have already sent them out of office, and we are going to deal with them firmly and conclusively. Are we together? So we will not only refund you, we will not only give you, replace your fertilizer, but we are also going to deal with the crooks. Yes, let me.
I think you've heard some of the question and the responses that the president gave. There is a point where I think most Kenyans picked and maybe had some issues with when it came to the response. The president told them that they've fired the entire cereals board and they're waiting persecution, and the farmers are going to get their fertilizers, which some Kenyans were asking, really, the fertilizer was supposed to be used for the planting season? Okay, of course it is going to be replaced, but it will be late when the planting has already taken place. So either this person will automatically go at a loss if they don't have an extra money maybe to acquire new ones, which is also not possible because you are only supposed to get these fertilizers once. So it means they'll plant without anything or they'll fail to plant. Then on the second part, Kenyans picked it and said that the president was not sincere because nobody has been fired in that department. And the only thing that
Okay.
happened, there was a bill to impeach the minister, and it also failed.
Anyway, Leo, you know, sometimes it's good to come with some facts. You know, the MD for Cereal Board is called one John Kimote or something. John Kimote has been arrested. Was arrested very recently in the connection of the fake fertilizer scandal. So on that particular issue, the MD already for Kenya National Cereal Board is facing the law. About the other fellows who have been fired, I can't confirm, but I can confirm that one John Kemeto was arrested and is facing prosecution, so he's not in office. Now, I think that is what the government ought to do, but I believe that the buck stopped with Linturi. Linturi should have gone home. He should have gone home. I still think that he ought to go home, or he needs to be removed from office. So, or a reshuffle if still president feels that he's a very important person to be part of his government, then he needs to take him to another department, but not in agriculture, where we are trying to get food security for the nation. I hope I answered your question. You are on mute. Mr.
Those are the issues that I had. Kenyans picking and picking from maybe some of the responses, and of course, most Kenyans were also angered with the kind of response that they got from the government spokesman when Kenyans questioned. Of course, I just want to get to know your opinion. These Kenyans tried to question the cost of this travel when it came out that the government hired a jet that is going to cost taxpayers 200 million Kenyan shillings. So Kenyans were saying, why it not possible for maybe the government to hire or to charter KQ at the cost of 50 million and save 150 million? So I don't know what is your take on that. Of course, that is something that has been people have really picked issues with it, with the Kenyans questioning why is the trip so expensive and such kind of things. And
hello, well, one, I don't know whether I don't know the procedure of hiring Kenya Airways to fly a passenger plane to fly the president of the Republic of Kenya. I don't know what that would be, but one thing I know is that the presidential jet that was purchased 30 years ago is something that if you are president, you wouldn't trust even to board a flight of about 18 to 20 hours in the air, a plane that is not flying regularly and was bought almost 30 years ago. Maybe it would have taken longer. Maybe they were not sure about the capability of it flying at that particular time. On issue of the expenses that they used, yes, I think it is very expensive. Most of these African leaders, they ought to be ordinary people. I don't find it. It's not if they can take a normal chopper or within the country, then they can just take a domestic flight, an international flight, even KLM or even KQ, just to promote them and fly them to New York. Then later on, they can connect a connecting flight. But you see, the president moves with an entourage, meaning there are so many luggages that they have. There's so many confidential documents that they travel with. So some of these reasons are the reasons why they charter a private jet, that kind of privacy, and for security reasons also. Yeah, security reasons. So these jets are hired mainly by celebs and people who can afford them, like the Kenyan government. But I think it is high time that Kenya acquires a new jet for the president, so that we cannot incur some of these expenses in future.
I think you've responded to that. That is what maybe most Kenyans were picking fight with. Geoffrey Ruto is saying that Kenya is seeking an extension of AGOA beyond 2025 to continue fostering economic growth and trade relationships. And Geoffrey Goodyear is saying that I think it was right for William Ruto to use the designated jet because of security reasons and time limits. So, Jeff, what do you say about this Kenya seeking to extension of AGOA beyond 2025 to continue fostering economic growth and trade relationship with the United States of America?
I have no idea about that.
Mm-hmm.
I totally have no idea about.
I think
about that story.
I think AGOA has got some meetings when these types of states do meet to discuss such kind of plans, and he doesn't need William Ruto to go and represent the entire African states so that they can be able to extend their goals.
You see, AGOA, I think AGOA extends up to. Can you hear me?
Yes.
The AGOA, not so many people know about AGOA. And maybe Geoffrey Ruto knows more about AGOA. But I can assure you that AGOA deal, not so many Kenyans, it has not been marketed so well in the Republic of Kenya for people to be informed of what is happening in AGOA. People need to know what AGOA is. Yeah. Even if you ask somebody what is the meaning of AGOA, AGOA is African Growth and Opportunity Act. That A stands for Act. So there are some countries that are eligible to trade with America, and most of the products from this country, if they are exporting from Kenya, are duty free. Some of them, most of them are from sub-Saharan Africa. So AGOA is something that is very, very instrumental, especially in the textile industry. Not everything that we manufacture at home or we produce at home falls under AGOA. America also has to protect its own domestic industry. You saw who is he? The president for Rwanda trying to tell William Ruto indirectly to talk to the Americans to accept Rwanda back because they were banned from the AGOA trade on certain issues. I don't know which ones they were, but this is something that can be very, very beneficial to us, and we need to take advantage. Especially our members of parliament need to sensitize the community on the benefits of AGOA to their constituents. And if you're coming from a county, these are the opportunities the counties need to tap on, the opportunities of trade, and look at the things that America is allowing duty free into the country, and you can sell them and make profit and get out. So this trade agreement in Kenya, it has not been fully fully emphasized, or it is just there on paper, and very few people are aware of the AGOA benefits.
I think that is well understood, unless maybe Geoffrey Ruto wants to add something on it. Then that is well understood. So as Kenyans, as we wait, I know we are waiting to see what is going to happen in this kind of visit, and we are eagerly waiting to see how we are going to strengthen our relationship. So, Jeff, do you think that this issue of green card can also be one of the things that the president is going to discuss there, so that Kenyans can be able to be given more green cards?
Green card is an American system that cannot be interfered with by anyone. Even
the president won't say, the way you've been talking to Facebook and YouTube to consider monetizing Kenyans, so you can go and tell the president, okay, well, we want you to increase the number of green cards that you are locating.
It's not possible to interfere with the system, but they can make it easy for Kenyans to come to America, not necessarily green cards.
Like, of course, we've been seeing Kenya lifting the visa requirement. So can you also do that and tell the Americans that you're going to lift visa requirements?
If they dare do that, all Kenyans will be here. Do you see how many people apply for green cards, my friend? So that is not possible, but they won't be very strict. Maybe to even be easier for Kenyans to get documents to work when they're already here. And apart from the disadvantages, because what happens as a nation, we focus so much on the bad things. We even don't have time to think of the good things that happen around our government. I just want to highlight some of the things that are likely to happen after this visit. And number one is strengthening of diplomatic relations. The visit can foster stronger ties between the two nations, promoting cooperation and understanding. Number two, economic agreements. The leaders may discuss and sign trade agreements, investments, or partnerships boosting economic cooperation. Very important. There is nothing good like working or doing business with America. Why? Because of the strength of the dollar. If we can be in a position to to export our products from Kenya and sell them to America, we would be making great profit. I know there are people who are able to do that, like those who sell the French beans and some cultural products. Those people make a lot of money. And we want to see American market opening, because the value of our shilling is down, but the value of dollar is very high. It will be more advantage, or it is advantageous to Kenyans to do business with America than it is for Americans to do business with Kenya. The other thing I want to touch on is the cultural exchange. The visit can facilitate cultural understanding and exchange programs, enhancing people-to-people connections. Like, for instance, people don't know, we have what we call the exchange visitors visa. When the presidents meet and agree, they open such spaces. Myself, I come as a professional with an exchange visit visa. And after that, I was able to get the documents to stay. So those are some of the things that open when leaders can meet and talk. Then we have global influence. The meeting can shape global policies, address pressing issues, and demonstrate joint leadership on the world stage. So a nation that relates very well with America is not just a nation that you can tamper with anyhow. See what happened to Israel. You can imagine When Israel was being attacked, if America was not on the side of Israel, Israel would be a thing of the past. You saw the missiles, they were in thousands. You saw how they had planned to eliminate that nation. But America, because of the cooperation they have with Israel, they were able to work together and they defended Israel. And today we are talking of the president of Iran. It's a thing of the past. So it's a good thing that when the world know that Kenya and America work together, there is an extent to which they cannot go when it comes to threatening our existence or our security systems. Security and defense. The leaders may discuss and reinforce defense cooperation, addressing shared security concerns. Already, we have benefited a lot when it comes to the cooperation, security cooperation. Don't think that without the support of America, equipment, resources, the war of terrorism between Kenya and the Al-Shabaab was going to be very easy. But America has been working closely with Kenya, providing technology, the drones, the satellite signals to tell us where the enemies are and such kind of things. And that is why it wasn't very hard for Kenya to win the war against the Al-Shabaab. So those are some of the things. Right now, as we are talking also, I think yesterday, the Kenya police already, they also entered Haiti. You know, I don't know what will happen with the court battles, but I was doing some research and I saw that they're already there. Those are some of the things that they are going to discuss with the president of America. And let me see, finally, they had highlighted some of the advantages. Finally, we can talk of symbolic significance. The visit can serve as a powerful symbol of friendship and cooperation, reinforcing the importance of international partnerships. So it's a good thing for Kenya, based on the fact that Kenya is a small country, very small economically. We are just like one state of America. The fact that these people, they are taking time to recognize who we are, it means we are some stage, which is very, very important. Thank you. I am done, Mr. Leo.
I get you. Zelenda, unless you have sorry?
We can touch on the issue of the Kenyan police on Haiti. I also saw the pictures. They're already there. Maybe
we can get some. I don't know information. Mzalendo, do you have any information about the Kenyan police? And of course, I don't know why it's a coincidence that the Kenyan police were going to Haiti the time that the president was also having a visit in America. I don't know if that one. Some people feel it that it is Americans that are really pushing and using Kenya to go to Haiti, because Haiti is a threat. The issue in Haiti is a threat not to Kenyans, but it's a threat to America, because year in, year out, you'll find that most people migrate from Haiti to America, and maybe it's also a security threat over there. So somebody feels that they now want to use Kenya, and they are really making use of maybe our president, and it seems it is going to be successful for their own benefit. So it's a coincidence that the president is going there, and the police are also sent there, despite the fact that our courts declared it illegal, simply because we did not have what is called a reciprocal agreement with Haiti, because by the time we are getting into this kind of agreement, Haiti did not have a president since the assassination of their former president. Apart from that, the person who purported to have signed this kind of agreement, their prime minister, resigned on the way before even reaching Haiti, and he did not even get back to Haiti. So what do you think is going to happen in this case? We can't hear you.
Sorry, Leo. If I got your question, maybe I just want to say that Kenya is leading a delegation of other countries who are going to Haiti to try and restore law and order. It is not a coincidence that the president is in the country at the same time the soldiers are going to Haiti. That is significant because, one, the US government has acknowledged Kenyans' willingness to participate in more advanced diplomatic ties, like sending troops to Haiti. This is something that will benefit the forces directly in terms of equipment, in terms of the modern technology that they are going to be backed up with. So to me, I feel it is beneficial. And one thing I know, the soldiers who will be serving in Haiti can easily get those we call green cards or access to the country, to America, plus their families so easily. So this is going to be very, very beneficial, and especially if Kenya succeeds in the mission and leading the mission properly. So it will be very beneficial. It will also put our country at another level above other African countries. So for me, it is a plus. Let the police try and bring law and order in Haiti. One thing I say is that the 1,000 forces are not enough. The other soldiers from other countries who have joined the Kenya police to try and bring law and order in this particular country. But being a political year, also the US are looking at, Biden cannot send his troops to America. For one reason, they are going to elections in November. So they are really trying to create a balance. Anything that will deny the Democrats votes, they will not participate in it. So if they get countries to help them in this particular mission, then I can assure you they are very, very happy about the Kenyan engagement.
Muzarendo, I used to think that our police and our army officers don't like being sent for missions, until when one of the brigadiers was living in our house. We had rented one side of our house to an army brigadier. And this was the time when the police were being sent, I think, to Sierra Leone. Do you know they were talking to us, telling us, you are very close to our boss, please talk to him so that my name may be added in the list. And anybody who was close to the brigadier used to get such kind of requests because our soldiers and our police like being deployed out there, because there are benefits which come with it, in such a way that after you have been deployed outside the country, you are never the same again in terms of remuneration and also the experience that you get. Those are the people who get promoted very easily, and also they are able to get other opportunities. The other thing I want to say that our officers, I don't know, I don't have much knowledge about the police, because we don't normally deploy policemen most of the time, but especially our army officers are known world over in peacekeeping, because they do it very well and also professionally. And I also want to believe the reason why the president has been buying all this time with this of also entertaining the court battles is because he wanted time so that these police officers who have been deployed could undergo the training, the necessary training to be in a position to go and do their job. And not only that, I know they were also doing research on the ground to ensure that they succeed once they go there. I remember there was a time America had really tried to bring peace and order in Somalia. They had deployed their soldiers, and it wasn't very easy for them. They went through a very hard time, and they had to withdraw finally, because the people of America, after seeing how brutally their soldiers were being treated and killed, the people of America cried to the government to return their children back. And the government of America had to agree, and they withdrew from Somalia. But what happened after the Al-Shabaab became the threat to our tourism industry? Mwai Kibaki and his government said, no, this will not continue. We will go there and we will conquer. And I can say, to a greater extent, Kenya succeeded. So there is anticipation that we are going to fail. Our soldiers are going to come back dead. It is not a must. We surprisingly are likely to go there and succeed because at least our training is good, and also even the police have been facing very tough time, like the shifters, even the Al-Shabaab in Kenya. They are not as simple people the way people think. So I believe they are likely to succeed. And also I want to believe that the president may not risk to undertake an exercise that is likely to bring his government down. So they must have done enough research, investigation. They must have gathered the right information, and they know exactly what they will start with. So it's just a matter of time. That's what I believe, because for me, I wasn't supporting that we said our police. I was saying, why can't we said our army? But because it has happened, and that is how they decided, for us, it's just to wish our uniformed officers all the best, that they will go, they conquer, and they come back alive to Kenya. Rio.
Thank you. I hope that is well heard. But there's this question that, of course, there are comments that Kenyan can't even look after their own yard, modern slavery. Obera is also wondering which kind of green card that Mzalendo is talking of to the police who are going there. There's this issue. Our court said that it is illegal. So, do we ignore the court? Because when we ignore the court, they'll say that is a selective application of law. We choose the laws to obey and the ones to ignore. Mzalendo, as a country, do we need to choose the laws to obey and the ones to ignore? Like we say, okay,
You see,
this one, a candle.
There's some things I call, then some things which are natural or instincts that forget about the law, forget about anything. Leo, if your house is on fire and you're my neighbor, what am I supposed to do? And I have some water that can help you put off the house and save something, save your children from that house. What am I supposed to do as your neighbor?
So that's a question that has been asked largely because people are saying that the previous regime used to ignore some court orders. So maybe to set a good precedence, then we need to adhere and obey the law, because somebody will use that one as an excuse that now that law was not, that order was not respected. So we don't need to obey some orders. And
No,
Goody is
I
saying
think
that
the
law is
court
law.
order on
You can't
Haiti
be
was
selective.
Mburu, you are saying something.
Because the court order in Haiti, I think it has not been worked on, because I think the only place that the court faulted is when it comes to reciprocating the same, of which, according to the time that these things are happening, Haiti is not having a president. The prime minister also purported to come and sign these kind of agreements, resigned even before getting back with the agreement to the country. So people feel like this is not fair, despite the fact that we want to restore peace and all those kind of things. And maybe the American politics behind it.
I think the Kenyan government has decided to bypass the court order for obvious reasons. Maybe some diplomatic ties between America and Kenya might be affected by when they try to implement this order. The extension was until when? Until November. So I don't know. There's a way they will go around it, but I believe for a good government, it needs to respect the law. Because there were some amendments that were supposed to be done in Parliament for the president to be able to deploy the troops to Haiti. But having said that, it seems that the troops are already en route to Haiti. I am not sure whether they have reached Haiti, but they are going there as we speak. Probably the president will see them off at the airport here in America. So we are yet to see that, because the reasons that were being put by Okuru Court of Third Way Alliance, I think he's a political leader of Third Way Alliance Party. The kind of
He's the party leader of Third Way Alliance.
You see what we say. Yeah, Ekuru Court is the one who took the case to the court, and the court suspended the deployment. And we normally say that in law there is always a lacuna, or there is a way in which, when the law is looked critically, the government, to a greater extent, will always have a way of navigating around and doing what they wanted to do. Because when I look at that ruling, though they said it was not founded or backed by the law, or it was unconstitutional, they said, let me just read part of it, that the major reason why. So this is what was going on here, that the court in January ruled this was unconstitutional, in part because of lack of reciprocal agreements on such deployment between the two countries. Let us just pick the word reciprocal. That is to mean, what are we getting in exchange to sending our troops to Haiti? What if, within this time, the Kenyan government has been in a position to acquire the agreement between Haiti and Kenya, that this is how Kenya is going to benefit from deploying our police to Haiti? So the government, I want to believe the government must have covered the area, the gray area that was identified as the court as the reason to why they were blocking the deployment to Haiti. However, because the court had said it is unconstitutional, this would be very bad if things go wrong. If, for instance, and I'm not anticipating that might happen, if it happens that we lose our police officers, what would happen? Now people are likely to turn against the government and tell them, you went against the Constitution by deploying our people, our police to Haiti against the law. So such kind of things, they are likely to affect the government to a larger extent. That is why they were supposed to follow the court to the end until the court pronounces that now we have opened the way for you to deploy. Because all what they needed is to have an agreement. But now the question was, the agreement was going to be signed between who and who? Because the only person who was there, who was going to sign such an agreement, resigned. So Mzaredo, maybe you can help us on the structure of the Haiti governance. It's like there has not been government operate. I hear they are government because they are police officers also, but I really don't understand how they operate because even the prime minister resigned. You're muted.
You see, just as I said, this is a humanitarian mission, and the government will go on with it, whether there is a court order or not. They just have to go on with it. I think they have appealed against the decision by the court, so they can't wait for the outcome. And yet, some people are dying in Haiti. Children need to go to school. There ought to be water provisions in some of these schools. So there has to be life going on in Haiti. And I know it will bring a lot of problems and a lot of controversy in Ruto's government, but maybe he knows how to deal with it. But just as I said, sometimes we need to respect the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya and what the people are saying. I believe if there are necessary agreements that ought to have been done, there are a lot of technicalities that are now affecting it. Haiti does not have a government. Haiti does not have a government. The other day, the guy who came to sign those agreements resigned. I don't know he's in exile in which country, but he quit. He quit. He didn't even go back to his own country. So he does not have any agreement. So who is in charge in Haiti? Will the government be signing the agreement with the gangs? That is my question.
I wanted to
that is the problem. That's a question that everybody is asking.
Goodyear can tell us, what did the Haiti army say? Or Goodyear has said there. Remember what Haiti army said, or you guys are forgetting. Maybe you can remind us. We don't know what they said. But in war, a lot of psychology is applied. So they were just trying to threaten Kenya, the Kenyan police, that they should not dare to be deployed there because they will go back dead. Those are just, they are threats. They are threats because they didn't want them to go. They tried even to overthrow the government, to take the airport, all that they were doing so that the Kenyan government may be afraid to send the police. But finally, because Kenya already has gone through all these processes with Al-Shabaab, the government of Kenya understood very well that these people are scared, and that is why they are reacting or behaving the way they were behaving. And now I know the first approach that should be applied is diplomacy. Are these people willing to sit down and resolve their issues, just like we did with Congo? In Congo, our army didn't fight, but they were deployed there. And because of the fear of the M23, they said, guys, we want to sit down with the government and have a discussion. So by these people seeing the Kenya police and the way they are armed to fight with them, they are likely to say, instead of losing our lives, let us sit down and iron our differences. So I want to believe that the use of power or force will only be applied as the last resort.
And do you think that our police are going to make it there to bring peace? Buri, do you think?
Sorry, what did you ask? Sorry, there was.
Do you think our police will make it?
Why not? They have made it before. They will make it again.
No, the ones
You
that
know,
have made it are
there
not
is
police. Those ones are not police. Those ones were army.
Let me tell you, a human being is a human being. Even you are not a police officer. But if you can be trained, you can become anything. These people,
and
they are called,
where they've been
they are called
police.
You see,
to guide them.
You see, nobody was born as an army officer. They were trained. Nobody was born as a police officer. They were trained. Now that they are going to be deployed, and they have had enough time for preparation and training, they have now been trained, and they have also been taught on the challenges they are likely to face and how to counter the challenges. So a human being just needs to go through training to tackle any kind of a challenge. So it doesn't matter whether police or even in our police force, we have police service, we have some units that are more vigorous than even the army. Maybe they have sent the terrorism unit, the anti-terrorism unit. You never know. Maybe they have even picked some people from the army and they have put them in the police. They have sent them there. You never know. Because at the end of the day, what we want is order in Haiti. So we don't know what is happening in the government. We even don't know who has been sent. We can only speculate that the guys who have been sent there, they are police officers. But we don't know the kind of training they have undergone through.
Get you. Let us hope that they'll make it.
They will. With our prayers. They will. They also, you see, they have even started posting pictures. They are very happy. They are saying, we're already here. And you see, number one is that they have the right equipment. Sometimes we don't need hundreds of people. Already they have been given the right equipment, the right information, the right technology. You know, the satellites, what people don't know, America does not have so many soldiers, but it is rich in technology. Right now, if they want any information about Haiti, the satellites will be able to show each and every person and everywhere they are hiding. And that is how they fight their wars. So sometimes nobody is going to fight with these guns. It's a matter of just being able to control the drones. If now the worst comes to the worst, that now they need to be killed, they will be wiped. And they are very aware of that. You see, just like the other day, I was thinking, this guy of Iran is so daring that he can try to attack Israel in the manner that he did. And I said, is he not afraid of what is going to happen? It didn't take much before he was eliminated. I believe he was eliminated. Alienda huko, GPS ya ndege ikapotezwa huko kwa milima. I mean, these guys.
Wewe huyu jamaa hiyo kifu ya huyu jamaa unafurahia sana. Huyu jamaa.
No, he deserved.
You know how it's going to make the world insecure?
He deserved. Let me tell you, he deserved it. Without, after I saw the terror that he was going to unleash against Israel, for me, I had already said this guy deserved to die. He was so brutal. His plan was to eliminate Israel forever.
But do you
In
know?
fact,
Do you know? Israel? There is a supreme leader.
it doesn't matter.
Forget about this guy who died. There is now called. There's a guy called there, Ayatollah. Ayatollah
He's the one
Khomeini.
Ayatollah is the one who is ahead of even the president. Is the one whose word is
That
final.
guy is that
The
is
one
the
who makes decisions,
that
not this president. In fact, people are
is
blaming
the
this
guy who
guy.
makes decisions.
Man, he also, if he is not careful, let me tell you right now, wherever he is, he knows he's the
Boro,
next.
have you ever heard of Ayatollah Khomeini?
I have.
That guy has
And
been
you
there
know,
forever. I think he should be in his 90s or 80s.
you see, there was a time 6 states tried to attack Israel. And within one day, all of them had signed an agreement that we will never try to do that again. So I was expecting something after the attack of Iran to Israel. I was expecting something to happen. And this guy was a fool that after doing that to Israel, he could board a chopper and fly miles and miles on the air, knowing very well that the technology of Israel and America is able to monitor the world. Leo, when I'm here, I just need to know the area where you live and everything. Even with the Google, I am able to see your house. They use the same technology and more advanced technology to monitor the leaders. Think of somebody like Osama bin Laden. He thought that he is hiding so much, not knowing that these guys were able to monitor him everywhere. Saddam Hussein. So, I mean,
You know, Boro, sometimes I say, this world can be a very, very peaceful world if we love each other. And unfortunately, human beings are interesting. Right now, you are celebrating the death of.
I'm not celebrating. He deserved it.
You are celebrating the death of another human being. Another one is mourning, like in Iran. Probably they are mourning the death of their leader. And in Israel, they are celebrating. But funnily, this guy's death was celebrated even in Iran, meaning that the Iranians did not even like him in the first place. So this is something that you ought to know.
You know, Mzalendo, somebody who can cause deaths of thousands and thousands of people. If Israel was not prepared for the eventuality that would happen to them, with the Iron Domes and the Razor, whatever, all those things that were able to capture the missiles and the bombs that they were
finished.
They would have been finished the whole country. Those missiles were like raining, man. So I'm not celebrating, but I'm saying this guy was ruthless because he didn't care whether there are children in Israel. He didn't care whether there are women in Israel. Or what he wanted is, we don't want to hear that there is a country called Israel. And the same case happened. I know, yes, we are criticizing the retaliation of Israel. But you saw what Hamas did when they attacked Israel. They were killing people, everybody, anybody they came across. Some were coming from the air, others on the road, others on the bikes. I mean, what were they supposed to do so that these people may not repeat that again? And I can tell you for sure, it will take many, many years before Hamas or anybody can think of attacking Israel. And remember, this Israel is just a very small nation with a population of around 12 million people. And Israel, were it not for the deaths they have been going through across the globe, across the world, they would be the greatest population in the world. Remember what happened in Italy. They were killed in millions. Remember what happened in Germany. they were killed in millions. I don't know why everybody feels like killing them. I don't know. Everywhere they go. So it reaches the point whereby they say, okay, we didn't choose to belong to this tribe, but now we have to defend ourselves. Because sometimes they say, you guys, they tell the Palestinians, we can coexist. And in fact, Israel has been agitating, can we form one government?
If somebody come into your house and push you out, then tell you want that person to tell you that we can coexist. The house belongs to you, really.
Now, Leo, do you believe this world belongs to somebody, and somebody else is not supposed to exist?
No, historically, there are places people started, like historically, forget about the biblical stories that we read. And
I'm not talking of biblical. Now here, we are reasoning.
We never had a country called Israel. That is a fact.
Put aside God. Put aside God. Let us now go back to history.
God was there.
There was
we never had a country called Israel. Israel was never there, but we had a country.
We also never had a country called anything. There was a time when this world had nobody. You see? So anybody who exists deserves.
Ask yourself, between Israel and Palestine, Palestine came before Israel.
Who told you?
And the main reason why America is always supporting the Israel is because, the economy of America is being controlled by the Jews and the Israelites over there.
You see what happened? Let me now take
without America, we can't have a country called Israel. Actually, it is like a satellite country.
Let me take you back now to the biblical time. During the time of Joseph and Joseph and Jacob, when that family of Jacob went to Egypt because of hunger, they left where they used to live. So they went and stayed in Egypt for 400 years. After that, they came back. When God told them, now these are their generation, their descendants. God told them, I am going to give you a land which is full of milk and honey. This land is the same land that their forefathers used to occupy. That is why after they went through the process of King Pharaoh and Moses led them to the promised land, they went and occupied that land. Then there was another drought that these people migrated to Italy. When they went there, after many years, the Italians started killing them because everywhere they go, they prosper. Actually, even the economy of America, to a larger extent, is controlled by the Jewish community, the hospitals, or the big industries. I don't know. Those people are very unique. So they prospered so much in Italy, and the Italians retaliated against them. They started killing them. They were killed, many of them. Just few of them remained. And actually, the United States and the UK were deliberating in settling them to Kenya. But even before they settled them in Kenya, because by then Kenya was a colony of United Kingdom, these people came up with an idea. We want to go back to the land of our forefathers. So the government of America and the United Kingdom, they talked with the Palestinians. They told them, because these are your brothers, can you give them a place where they can come and stay? And they gave them part of their land. But originally, it was not that these people were foreigners. That is where their forefathers used to live, and that is why they were insisting to be taken there. So it is not that Israelites were foreigners in Palestine. They were just going back to the land that Jacob and Abraham and those generations they used to occupy. So it's a long history. But remember, okay, I don't want to go to the biblical side. So it is very hard to tell these people that this is not your country, because that is where their forefathers used to live. But remember, these are brothers. The Palestinians and the Israelites are brothers. The Israelites are descendants of Jacob, of Isaac. And the Palestinians are the descendants of Ishmael. Both are sons, one father, Abraham. And that is why Israel has been saying, we are brothers. Can we form one government and stop fighting?
Jeff, you just said something that maybe I think it is still in history, something that happened. What you're saying of the resettlement of the Jews, it was something that happened recently in 1940s, 1947, before the treaty, 1948. And of course, 300 Jews were brought to Gilgil in 1947, and it said that by the time they were being shipped back, because they were found to be people who are tough-headed, and among of them they were feared criminals. So when they ordered them to be brought back, to be taken back in 1947, there were 260. I think some of them died, and some of them maybe they said some of them dug a tunnel, I think, and escaped. I think yeah, that's
Who
what
were
happened
feared
recently.
criminals? Wait a minute. What did you say about the feared criminals?
The Jews, the ones who were brought, who are settled in Kenya, they were detained. Actually, they're not settled, but they were detained in Kenya. They used to be detained in different countries. In 1947, there were 300. So when they were being taken back, about 40 did not get back. So there were people who are fighting for what is called a Jewish state. Remember, in 1947, we did not have a Jewish state, but we had a Palestinian state. So when they were fighting for that, most of them got detained in different countries until a deliberation was made that they be taken back. Some of them that were brought in Kenya, we were told, escaped through, they made a tunnel and they escaped and went to Uganda, and that is how they escaped before they were taken back to their Middle East.
Anyway,
So
Leo,
these are who were never there
right.
before.
You are right, and to some extent, that you ought to know how the conflict began. Israelis were not just displaced from their motherland. It was a war between the Arab nation that displaced the Israeli from Palestine. So they were displaced from Palestine to other countries. That is why they found themselves, some in Germany, some in everywhere. They were scattered everywhere because of the war. Now, after some time, the UN, that is 1947, if that is what you're talking about, the UN declared Israel a state, to recognize Israel as a state. And they have been trying very, very hard for the Palestinians also to have another, to be part of Israel. Or they talk between Palestine and Israel, they come together and form one country. But these people, Mwarabu na Mjuu, hakuna saa zile watasikizana. These Arabs, they will never come into an agreement with the Israeli people, and the same to the Israelites. I wanted to ask Mburu if he has ever come across a Jew. Mburu, you live in America. Have you ever come across a Jew?
Yes, I have. We had two of them in the church.
Yeah, that is just in the church. But have you ever met a Jew in your place of work? Mnafanya naye kazi?
No.
Do you know why?
I don't know.
That's homework for you. These people, you can never find them. Au unawasikia ati these Jews wako wapi? They don't even live in the neighborhoods that they live. Ni tofauti. They are extremely rich. They are extremely rich, filthy rich. They are not kawaida. God has blessed them abundantly. Ukipata a Jew wa kawaida, piga naye picha, ama ukipata Jew maskini, where you
It's
wherever
very
you
odd.
are.
You never see that they are the owners of the biggest hospitals in America, biggest industries, companies, and they are also protected as threatened community in America. They are very much
During the world wars, they're the ones who used to provide the countries with finances. The banks that zilikuwa zinatumiwa, they were owned by Jews. Today, the big banks, even here, are owned by those Jews. So they control the world economy. They are not like watu wa kawaida. Look at the dome, the dome that they have created to protect themselves. That is a Jew technology. It's not
wow.
even.
To me,
It's
to me
not
that
even.
was amazing.
Yeah, you saw how it was working. Me, I was
You know, I
wondering.
was just imagining if those missiles were directed to Kenya, how many of them would we have captured?
I think Julio, you need to wind up the show. You have another show in the morning.
Zote zingeanguka huko, hakuna mtu angekuwa kwa nchi yetu.
Boro, do you want to go on with the show? Because
No. Actually, I'm going somewhere, right?
Yeah.
We need to end up. We're having one in the next like 4 hours or in the next 5 hours.
Yeah,
Just
you need to sleep. You need to get some
on
sleep.
the president's visit. Yeah, we're having one on the president's visit, so maybe we can have our final words, if any. Then we wind up the show.
Yeah. Me, I can. Let me talk to Juan Odero, who is saying Obiero. It's called Odero Obiero. The GSU that is being the police force. Sorry, the police force that is being deployed in Haiti. Those are paramilitary. They are trained just like the military officers, and they have been trained in Israel, and others have been trained in the US. So they are very much equipped. They are very combative. They are very, very combative. Remember, the people who finished the shift of war are the police, not even the army. They could finish the shift of war, but the GSU, who are a wing of the Kenya police, are the ones who finished those shifters who are attacking our country. So I wish them the best. Personally, I wish them the best. I want them to survive and come and tell the story. The amount that they are going to be paid in their stay in Haiti is good enough because the money is coming from the UN, so we have got nothing to worry about. So even if we had them back in our country, some of them, I mean, you never know about life. They would have been deployed somewhere else, and they would have probably died or even drowned. So let them do their duty. Polisi ni utumishi kwa wote. That is their slogan. So utumishi kwa wote inamaanisha utumishi kwa wote. Usiongeze kitu ingine hapo chini tena. Ni utumishi kwa wote. So wanaenda kutumikia nchi ya Haiti, wacha wao vijana waende salama na Mungu awalinde. On the issue of the presidential visit, I hope the people of the diaspora will take advantage of the president's visit and ask the right questions. Ask the right questions that will benefit the Kenyan community here in the diaspora and back at home, how they can benefit. The president ought to know, now that he's here, he ought to know how the county governments work, why there is a need for him to slow down pumping more money in these counties if there are no checks and balances. They need to do a thorough audit of if the devolution is beneficial to the locals or to individuals. So this is something that the government ought to do. On the issue of a 2/3 agenda, they also need to look at what the American society is doing in the issue of 2/3 agenda. I believe women should be given an opportunity just like any other person, but they should fight for it so that we have good representation. In today's world, women are doing almost everything that the men are doing. So I don't believe that the two-third agenda should be something that should always be part of the Kenyan agenda, making the government so bloated. I hoped that somebody would have asked something on the NADCO report, something when they met the president, but I'll be in Washington, maybe having a lunch with the president in Swahili Village. So I'll be able to ask him about the NADCO report and why it is not useful for Kenyans. And again, there's so many things that you can learn from the government here and trim the size of his government. The size of his government needs to be trimmed so that we get good services. A lot of it is duplication. Otherwise, asanteni sana. Good year. Thank you very much. Good. Mzalendo, all the questions which were asked were the right ones. Thank you, good year, for reminding me. I've not seen the clip, but we'll have another session for him. He was in Atlanta. I'm sure he will be coming to the capital. Asante.
Guru, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I just want to stipulate some few points. Number one is on patriotism. I want to talk to my countrymen and women on this very important point of patriotism. Having lived, I have seen how the people of America love their country. It's very hard for an American to speak negatively about America anywhere. They will tell you and they believe that America is great, is a good place. And that is why you see everybody want to come to America, because they have been selling their country as the best place in the world. Even their children, they make even our children feel that America is so great. The other day I was telling my daughter that she's a Kenyan, and she was telling me, Kenya is your country. I am an American. Do you know why? It's because they are fed with the information to believe that this is the best country they can ever be in. And that is what we are supposed to do. To know that we as Kenyans, each one of us has a responsibility to build Kenya. So you can demolish your country, you can destroy your country, or build your country basing on the information that you are giving out there. Today, the world has become one. You have your phone there, you have your Facebook, you have your TikTok, you have your YouTube, you have your Twitter. What do you write in those platforms? Are you the kind of a person who always writes negative things about your country? That is very unfortunate that a huge percentage of we Kenyans, we don't see anything good about our country. So it becomes very hard for other people to believe that our country is a good place, even for investment or for tourism destination. That is something that really breaks my heart, that we always talk negative about our leadership, about our country. We never say anything good about our country. We can talk such when we are talking amongst ourselves, but the information we put out there determines the perception of other people towards our country. Let us continue adding tribalism and believe and know that we are brothers and we are sisters. And there is a reason why God put us in one country called Kenya. And let us not be having these very strong feelings about this tribe and that tribe, that it becomes very hard and even for people to intermarry easily because of those bad feelings. Or even when you marry somebody from another tribe, it becomes very hard for that person to be accepted in your tribe. To me, I would say it's very, very unfortunate. Let us add the monster of tribalism if we want our country to grow. And finally, let us wish our government well. However much you hate the government, that is your government. So you can only wish that government well, pray for them, encourage them to continue offering services to the country, It's unfortunate there are people who wish the government may fail. There are even those who wish even the mission they have gone to Haiti may fail, so that they may say that William Ruto is not able to make prudent decisions. They wish that even the economically he may fail, so that they can say he is not a good leader. We cannot build a country that way. We have to come out of that corner of hatred, political differences, tribal differences, then start embracing our country and start working together as one people to build one powerful, strong nation called Kenya. Thank you so much. God bless you. God do you good. Thank you so much, Mr. Leo, for the opportunity. Thank you so much, Afriq 24 fraternity, even for letting me have a chance to air my contribution. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. From this end, I just want to say thank you. And to our viewers, keep on subscribing and joining as members. So let us meet at 6 a.m. in the morning. We are going to continue this conversation as the president is going to begin his second day of the 4 days tour in United States of America. Of course, we're going to have one Reverend Dr. Nick Obiero, who is a seasoned politician in America, and he will be trying to take us through some of the expectations and some of the things that maybe we don't know that is going to happen in this kind of visit. So don't fail to watch that. And if you've not subscribed, ensure that you do subscribe to this channel. That is Afriq 24-hour TV. So from this end, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning from wherever you are.